So I got annoyed driving yesterday. Not like, ranting lunatic mad, but I just started thinking of what is everybody's biggest pet peeve on the road.
Huh.
What bothers you the most? And I
Okay.
don't know because, there's not a lot out there right now. Didn't know if that was a poll question. Didn't know if that was a text thing. Didn't know if that was something to make a little time go by.
What would the options be?
Well, I think my biggest one is people not using their blinker. As much as driving in the left lane bothers me. I mean, there's a litany of these, David. Could we get it to a top 4 is the question. That's why I didn't know if you just throw it out there for a text thing and we narrow it down, but it just hit me yesterday driving home from dinner, which was at 6:40.
Dinner?
Driving home from dinner.
Wow. Holy blank. Did you guys leave the house before 5?
Yeah.
Wow. You've transitioned here quickly.
Yeah, when the whole house is basically up at 5 a.m. Sure glad I got back for that baseball game.
Yeah.
That was entertaining. Poor kid couldn't get anybody out.
It was a hit or miss starter. He's either really good or wild.
If he can ever figure it out, that kid can throw some gas.
Mm-hmm.
99 coming from the left side.
Yep.
That's a big young man right there.
Yep. Strikes are important, though.
You're supposed to get 3 of them last time I checked. He couldn't get but 1.
Well, when they score more runs in the second than you have hits on the night, that's probably not going to work out well.
I went to bed, I don't know, 6th, 7th. Did they bring the what's-his-face in?
No. Especially since they tacked on 3 in the 8th and 4 in the 9th.
That interference rule's awful.
Yep.
Baseball's kind of where football is with early replay. They got to figure some things out.
Yep.
David Samson emailed everybody. He will be away Tuesday the 18th, the 25th, and August 1st.
No, so he's unavailable those 3?
Right.
Well, so basically we're going to have him the 11th.
Right.
Okay.
Hey-o. Right back at you. Yeah, I mean, we beat old people to the restaurant last night. We were there so early. And we did the early bird special.
Wow. And your wife was okay with that?
It was her idea.
Okay. It's just, you know how it works. Hello, friends. FSN1? Is that like FS1? Following Miller and Moulton, Dan Patrick Show and Colin Cowherd.
On most of these Florida Sports Network stations. Others will get to hear Greeny, hosted by someone other than
Greeny.
So true.
He does the show less than Tarico was doing the show.
Wow.
10 seconds.
That's an old school reference, but a really good one.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this final Tuesday of June. Hope your week got off to a good start. And how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Magic numbers 60, 65, 72. Thank you very much. Week 0, week 1 of college football. Lions Chiefs to kick off the National Football League. Top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing fantastically, David. Great day yesterday. Had a fun day on my wife's birthday. Took her out to a nice dinner. Got to bed early because, well, I didn't have to watch the baseball game very late last night.
No, it was over pretty early. Yeah. It was. Yeah. Just curious, how early did you do dinner, since you two have transitioned very quickly, mind you? All right. I'm pretty sure a year ago at this time, you two were not dining at the hours that you now have decided you're very comfortable dining at. What time did you leave the house? What time were you at said restaurant?
Well, David, we had to drop something off at the library on the way back. My wife and daughter are big fans of the public library, so they had to drop off a movie and a book. So we left at about 20 to 5 to drop those items off to make our 5 p.m. reservation.
5 p.m. reservation. Wow. Felt the need on a Monday night to make a 5 p.m. reservation in June.
Mostly for the restaurant, not for us.
Gotcha. Not
Make sure
January, mind you. I could understand in season a January 5 o'clock reservation. Not many in Florida. You have to make a 5 o'clock late June reservation.
Probably none. That was more for the restaurant to make sure someone would be there working at that early hour, David.
We got to call 3 people in early. Got dinner reservation for 2.
We beat most everybody. There were 2 people in the big restaurant, but we were in a small room in a very nice restaurant. There was 2 other people in that room. We beat most of the old people to the restaurant last night.
Nice.
And I'm not ashamed to say we did an early bird special.
Just in time or in price?
I guess in both.
Well, that's what I meant. Did you actually order off the early bird menu?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable. Wow, what a transition this has been. I actually think this has taken place during this calendar year. I don't even think this started late in 2022.
Well, I don't think we admitted it late in 2022. But, David, our whole house, when I leave the house at 5:30, everybody's up. The day has already started at the Miller house by then. My wife gets up shortly after I get up. So we go to bed pretty early. So on a work/school night, even though it's summertime, but the daughter, I'm in charge. The wife's going to be dropping the daughter off at the studio in a little less than an hour. So this is what happens. We have become either really, really old
or just really, really early.
Or really, really early.
Sure you don't want to do the show in the afternoon, huh?
Oh, I'm positive. This is great. I'd fall asleep right after the show if I did it that way, David.
Just curious. Just don't put it to a vote of your 9-year-old. I think she'd vote for, man, Daddy, I get up earlier than all my friends. Man, we're up early. I mean, the cats and dogs are up too when you say the whole damn house. I mean, by 5:30, man, that place is rocking.
Oh, rock and roll all morning long.
You remember when you slowly started getting older and you would see your local TV station promo their early morning news? And most stations now, I mean, 4:30 a.m. 5 o'clock wasn't early enough. Remember when the station started going, we're on 4:30 to 7. You're like, 4:30 in the morning for news? What the? Now, hell, I'm setting my alarm before they're even on the air. Hell, I've been up 12 minutes. It's like, hey, when are you guys going to start the news? There's a lot going on out there, You got to recycle the same stuff from 6 p.m. last night.
And then give us early morning traffic, of which there's no one on the road yet.
At any major market in this state, no. And by the way, weather, this just in, highs in the mid-90s, chance of an afternoon thunderstorm.
And that's for the whole state.
For the next 3 months. Back to you, Jim, at the studio. All right, good to know. Well, hope she had a good day. Okay, I understand this was just a regular birthday. There was no big number. There was no special, occasion to it. I know the next two will, have some meaning. So, okay, we're just glad, meatloaf, potatoes, little gravy, get it out of the way. Okay, so, green beans, something like that.
Can't ever go wrong with green beans in our house, David.
Nice of you to go to Cracker Barrel or Bob Evans, get things done and out of the way. By the way, speaking of which, on the way back from the family vacay, that's where I was mother-in-law and wife. I mean, they said, hey, we're not ready to just get back in, the flow of things. We'd like to stop off and have lunch. Okay, sure. And we stopped off at one of those two fine establishments, Mark. Right. That was topping off the family vacation in style.
Nothing says family reunion quite like a Cracker Barrel, David.
Well, Mark, please, we had to. That was the first choice. We settled for the second choice. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. That's how we roll, Mark. That's how we roll. Mm-hmm. Family vacay. Hey, not ready to get back into the grind. Let's go to a Bob Evans. Ha! Yeah, we are partying here.
I'll tell you, I didn't know they still had those. So I'm glad that you let me know that the Bob Evans chain is still rolling along. Well, there was one in Southwest Florida. It went down years ago. Didn't know the chain still existed.
Well, I think there's one in Fort Myers, right where I used to live, in fact. But Mark, you cannot put that many carbs consistently on a plate at one time and go out of business. Okay, it's not possible. Not in America. Maybe in other countries that chain would be in jeopardy. Not in America. And certainly not in the South. I mean, please. When every single item on your plate is a carb, when there are no other options to put on your plate except a carb, okay, that is a successful chain, Mark.
Add sausage and you're all set.
Exactly. You throw in a few breakfast all day items in the corner of the menu. Please. Gonna go out of business. Are you nuts? It's America, baby. If anything, that chain's just getting started. Wait to see how big that thing comes in 20 years.
I'm sure. Just ready to blossom.
Miller and Moulton, I have a question. So, has it been an amazing 3 months? Or has it been a, man, we can't win at anything 3 months. So let's go back, shall we? Late March, early April. The state of Florida has not one but two representatives in the Final Four. Final Four. You kidding? I mean, we got what, a 5 seed and a 9 seed, for goodness sakes, in the Final Four. But, neither one made the championship game. One lost heartbreakingly at the buzzer. Okay. Great run, though. I mean, neither school had ever had a run like that before. Okay. So then a couple of 8 seeds. Mark, that's the worst seed you can have in the NBA and NHL playoffs. They both all the way to the finals. Neither one of them win. Okay. It's all right, though. I mean, remarkable runs for both. Now we have a school that play for the national championship from the state. Finished second. So which is it, Mark? Has the last 3 months been remarkable, amazing, wow? Or has it been, man, we can't win a title? What the heck? What do we have to do to win one of these suckers?
I think it leans to the second one. It's actually a bit of both, because I have no loyalty. And from where I'm sitting, David, I have zero loyalty to any team that did well. It made my rooting interest so much more fun for the last 3 months. I was all in, from FAU right on through the Florida Panthers and everything in between. It made spring joyous as a sports fan. But none of those are my team. So
right.
I didn't have to deal with any of the heartbreak
right.
of losing the game. So to me, it was joyous.
Okay.
If you're a diehard fan of one of those teams, I don't think you take it the same way.
Like, I'm curious, like Felipe, Miami Hurricanes fan, Heat, and
Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, he had a jersey or a jersey or whatever it was that he had. Okay, and so he claimed the Panthers. He did have something in the wardrobe that allowed him to go, hey, now, come on. I actually know where they play. But, didn't win the final game. Just wondering. That's all. I mean, listen, we're going to have a glorious summer here. Rays have the best record in baseball. They're certainly making the playoffs. Okay. And the Marlins, I mean, unless they have a Mets-like month here coming up, the Marlins are probably going to take this season to Labor Day weekend at least. Going to be playing relevant baseball through the summer. When the hell's the last time the Marlins had a relevant summer? I mean, the George W. Bush presidency? So I'm just wondering, are these glorious times, Mark? Or should we just relabel the state of Florida silver medalists?
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District We declared our independence in 1776 and have been celebrating the 4th of July with concerts, parades, fireworks, and new sunglasses ever since.
Todd, I'm not sure they had sunglasses back then, but let's go with that since the Diamond District can't have a concert, parade, or fireworks in the store and want to celebrate. So this 4th of July, with a purchase of $500 or more, you'll receive free Bose audio sunglasses.
That's right. With any purchase of $500 or more, now through the 4th of July, the Diamond District will give you free Bose audio sunglasses. Listen to your favorite music by the pool, while running, or walking the beach.
Visit the Diamond District now through the 4th of July for your free Bose audio sunglasses with purchase of $500 or more. Only at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No, Lindy, they don't count. They're a local team.
So I have a new coffee. I'm not sure if I like it. Tastes a little bit too much like Dunkin's, that Pete's.
Okay.
That's all I got. Yeah, ambient. I don't know how hyped it'll be. It's not a lot of great free agents in play. Okay, if you say so, Ambien. There's a lot of notable free agents out there.
In the NBA? I mean, notable? Like
Fred
difference makers?
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. David Samson will join us in 40 minutes' time. We'll check in on the Rays, who the last 2 weeks have been and have a Wander Franco issue on their hands. Steve Carney will join us a little more than an hour to talk about that. But magic numbers 60, 65, and 72 to the start of the college and NFL seasons, actual games being played, 60 days away. Notre Dame taking on Navy, USC in action. That's 2 top 15 teams, maybe even 2 top 10 teams. And a little over 9 weeks away from Florida, UCF kicking off their seasons and the first weekend, full weekend of college football. 10 weeks Thursday, Lions and Chiefs. Speaking of the NFL, Mark, 2 things. First off, it certainly appears, and Mike Florio even reported it yesterday, he's the only one, that the NFL is going to stick it to the Jets.
Right. Hard Knocks is coming to New York.
Right. I mean, come on. It's a TV show. And think about if you were the executive producer, which the NFL is, not HBO. If you were the executive producer and you had 4 locales, you had an on-location TV show. And it's, like a dating show. Only in the NFL, dating is, which locker room, which team is most interesting. And your choices were Bears, Commanders, Saints, or Jets. It's like putting a tourism show and deciding whether or not, you're going to have some beautiful locale or whether or not you want to go Youngstown, Bismarck,
Or Gary, Indiana. Hello.
So, yeah, the Jets are getting Hard Knocks. Hey, this is how they should look at it. It's the last time the Jets made the playoffs? The last time they had Hard Knocks.
It was one of the better Hard Knocks. In fact, it might be the gold standard for that show.
Now let's go get a snack.
You had that. You had Westhoff going crazy. You had the whole Revis thing going on. I mean, it was actually incredibly revealing of what we learned from that particular Hard Knocks.
Remember when Rex Ryan and Mike Tannenbaum were meeting Revis's people off whatever that small road was in Jersey at the diner? You thought it was like a Sopranos meeting going on.
Exactly.
Like somebody's getting whacked in the parking lot over eggs. This is fantastic. The only thing that was missing was the theme music underneath the meeting as it went to black, by the way. That's how they ended one of the episodes, with the slow dissolve to black. Where have we seen that before? But Mark, you tell me if any of these guys interest you. Dalvin Cook, DeAndre Hopkins, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Jarvis Landry, Eli Apple, Taylor Lewan, DJ Fluker, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Melvin Ingram, Ndamukong Suh. Although people are probably calling him and he's like, take a message. Quan Alexander, Marcus Peters, Carlos Dunlap, Ronald Darby. I could keep going. These are guys who are still available.
Right. Now, the quarterbacks I have no interest in. Everybody else that you mentioned on that list, I have a moderate amount of interest in.
Okay, so just to press you and to make sure. So let's just say you you're a decent team and your starting quarterback goes down, major injury, and your backup's not ready. You took the cheap way out and you're getting burned. All right. And you're the GM and I'm the assistant GM. And I walk into the room and I go, well, we could call Matt Ryan or Carson Wentz.
Oh, boy.
Well, just saying.
Where is the alcohol?
Well, no. I'm pouring a drink as I'm saying it.
All right, let me at least have one before you ask me that question again, for crying out loud. Can we call the Colts and see if they're going to start the rookie so we can get Gardner Minshew? I mean, if push comes to shove, Matt Ryan would be my answer there between the two.
Okay. I'm just wondering, would a phone call possibly be made? That's all. So, got some players here. You got a couple of guys who can rush the passer. Got a couple of the guys who can keep guys from getting to the quarterback. You got
a bunch of guys who can run, at least we think.
Got a couple of wide receivers, veterans in their early 30s. D-Hop, Julio Jones.
And Jarvis Landry.
Yeah. Got Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette at running back. Do you think playoff Lenny's got some life still in him here? I think playoff Lenny's got a year in him.
Dalvin Cook would be who you take. Who do you want, Lenny or Zeke? Next. That's because it's Cook, obviously, is the number one guy you take. We all know that.
Right. I would take Zeke. I think Fournette's got more tread left on the tires, but I think as an all-around football player, Zeke's better. I think he's a better receiver. He's definitely a better blocker. All right. I also think he's a headier player. I would take Zeke. I also really wonder if Zeke, being a number 2 could heal up a little bit. Not wearing those tires as much as they've been worn. I actually wonder if Zeke at wherever he signs as the number 2 running back, I'm wondering if midway through this season, we all of a sudden go, oh, wow, he's still got a little something left. You know how we always say with the backup quarterback, can he come in and go 2-1 if need be?
Right.
That to us is a good enough backup quarterback. Can he come in and go 2-1? And then give the job right back, keep the season going, blah, blah, blah. Do you think Zeke, if the starting running back sprains a knee and misses 3 games midway through the season, do you think Zeke can play 3 games in a row in which he's on the field for 60 snaps and he's got 20 touches and he's productive?
David, you started on this. I think he should be a Cincinnati Bengal.
I can't believe I would have signed him 2 months ago if I was Cincinnati.
I mean, they've got Mixon and guys.
I have no idea. I don't know if the league's going to step in with Mixon and all of a sudden. It's the same, by the way, if I'm the Saints. I mean, I'm worried that the league's going to sit Kamara for 2, 4, 6 games on me. He's back. He's healthy. He needs a big year from a contract standpoint. Okay, same with Michael Thomas. But, in theory, you got Carr with something to prove, the number 1 wide receiver with something to prove, and the number 1 running back with something to prove. Alvin Kamara is the second highest paid running back in the NFL. I mean, 2 years ago, he scored 6 touchdowns in a game. Is he done? I don't think he's done. I just think he's been banged up. He's got a lot of motivation to play this year. But I'm worried that with that, incident he got in Vegas, that all of a sudden it's the 3rd week of August and the NFL is going to go, yeah, by the way, you're not playing the whole month of September. Because Goodell's been known to do that,
And he runs under his own timetable when it comes to handing out justice via the NFL way.
So that's all. Just wanted to throw some of the guy, the magic numbers. But there's meat on the bone there. If I were to put the best of that together and brought it to you as like your 8-piece order of wings, would you look at it and go, man, that's lousy? Or would you go, it's not bad?
No, I actually think it's pretty good. I think people would be amazed of the starting lineup you could still create when free agency still alive today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
While talking with my friends Jason and Todd with the Diamond District, the 4th of July came up, and Todd was like,
Jason, the Diamond District is celebrating 20 years in business. Let's give something away for free this 4th of July.
Then Jason, with that aha look on his face, said,
Todd, I had the perfect idea. I was wearing my Bose audio sunglasses at the pool the other day and loved the feel, the look, and the sound. Let's do this. With a purchase of $500 or more, we'll give a pair of these sweet sounding shades away.
It didn't take Todd long to agree.
Jason, you're brilliant. Who wouldn't want Bose audio sunglasses? And for a purchase of $500 or more, it's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. Now through the 4th of July, free Bose audio sunglasses with your purchase of $500 or more from the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Ambien, what do you mean by pay cut? They're all unemployed. But I mean, you know, whatever you're offering is. And yeah, RCB, most of these guys are late 20s, early 30s. Doesn't mean they can't play.
Yes, he
David
is.
Samson, half hour.
Man, do your Mets suck. Even when they get a good pitching pro, then they just don't hit.
Like a bad team.
Yeah.
That's what bad teams do.
They are a bad team right now. You sure Showalter's going to make the season?
Well, he's having a bad year too. And I think this will go a long way to showing what kind of an owner he's going to be.
Okay.
Okay. How he handles this. You know, the best laid plans of mice and men have gone awry. What do you do?
Put it this way, just guys at the free agent position, if Cook and either Zeke or Lenny were your backup, where does that rank in running back rooms in the league? If you have D-Hop, Julio Jones, and Jarvis Landry, where does that rank in wide receiver rooms? Now, the quarterback thing, and there's no, they both suck. You can have either of them. But Quan Alexander's a starting linebacker in the league. Would you say Llewellyn? He can still start on the line.
Well, I think Taylor, I think Taylor Lewan can still play for sure. I mean, I got to be honest with you. I think Taylor Lewan's a better option at tackle than all but, one Jets tackle. But Mark, the thing about the Mets that is their problem is they have no pitching in the system. All their best arms are really young. They're 2 to 3 years away. So what's failing the Mets more than anything right now is their pitching. The GM let the bullpen get up and leave, and most of the guys he replaced them with are not getting the job done. Then the closer blows out his knees celebrating in the World Baseball Classic. Right. That's hurt. There's no doubt. But, they put all their money in their rotation. Their rotation's bottom 25% of the league right now. Here's an amazing thing. In a sport in which the younger you're going, the better off you are, the Mets went older, and it's not working out. Wow.
We have Philly in body only today. He is completely worthless today. He started his new job yesterday.
I started my new job last week.
Well, why are you worthless today then?
I don't know. I didn't sleep a lot.
Because you're worthless today. I can tell already. You've got nothing.
I've got nothing.
I got chills.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes till the top of the hour." That's when David Samson joins us for his weekly appearance. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Steve Carney will join us 1 hour from now. We'll talk a little Rays as they are officially at the halfway point of the season at 54-27 on a 108 win pace. This just in, that'll get it done. Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
See, here's the thing. When they score more runs in the second inning than you have hits for 9 innings, you're probably going to lose. LSU with 6 in the second, the Gators with 5 hits for the night. LSU 18-4 over Florida to win their 7th College World Series baseball title, their first since 2009. 4th straight title for the SEC. Vandy, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and now LSU. Gators, 3 of their 5 hits were homers. They actually led 2-0 after 1. Canes made some news yesterday. They promoted 21-year assistant J.D. Arteaga to become their head baseball coach. He'd been their pitching coach for many a year. Before that, he played for the Canes. We'll see if this worked. They offered this job to a few people. There was a time in which if you got offered the Miami baseball job, you couldn't say yes fast enough. So it's interesting that if the Duke baseball coach turned down the Miami baseball job. That's interesting.
That seems to be a problem from looking from the outside. Of someone who doesn't pay a whole lot of attention to college baseball, when you're staying at Duke
yes,
instead of Miami.
Right. In baseball, not basketball.
Right.
Baseball. Correct. Major League Baseball. Marlins and Rays were off. There were only 6 games last night. The Orioles fought through a rain delay, handed the Reds their 3rd straight loss 10-3. Baltimore now 4 back of the Rays, 2 in the loss column. The Reds loss combined with the Brewers' 2-1 win over the Mets puts Milwaukee back in first place by half a game in the Central. Joey Weimer with a 2-run homer in the 6th to win it for Milwaukee as the Mets had 3 hits on the night. See, Mark, this just in. When most nights it's your pitching that falters, and then on the night that you get pitching, your hitting falters. Do you know what that makes you?
A bad baseball team.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very
A
much.
bad baseball team.
Meanwhile, how about a very good baseball team? You know, the Atlanta Braves. Ozuna and Acuna with homers. Felipe, did I get Acuna right?
So proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Got to get the accent right at the right spot. They both homered. Spencer Strider, 7 innings and 1-run ball. He struck out 10. Atlanta 4-1 over the Twins. Detroit 7-2 over Texas, but the Tigers, they lost 2 pitchers, Mark, in the first 2 innings of the game to injuries. They now have 9 pitchers on the injured list.
That's not good.
Halfway through the season. That's a staff. They damn near have a staff on the injured list. 7-2, though. They beat Texas. The Angels are 5 back at Texas, thanks to their 2-1 win over the White Sox. Ohtani homered. 26th time he's done that. He's their number 1 starter. He's on pace for 50-plus home runs. Don't you think his agent, however many home runs he ends up with, he sits down and he goes, well, we want $1 million per home run. Now let's talk about the pitching.
The numbers are ridiculous of what he could ask for and justifiably ask for.
He's hitting right around 300. He's leading the league in homers. He's their number 1 starter.
He's going to get $55 million a year and be underpaid.
He's going to get $55 million, folks. Telling you. He's going to get at least 440, and he's going to get 55 a year. And then his agent's going to go, well, Judge got 9 years, and my guy's younger than Judge was when he got 9. So why can't my guy get 9? By the way, 9 for 55 puts you at 495. At that point, you just throw in 5 just for the heck of it. You just offer him $500 million. By the way, Trout, 3 strikeouts. He's really scuffling. He's barely hitting 250, but he did walk in the 9th and ends up scoring the winning run on a wild pitch. Seattle doubled up Washington 8-4. Nats now, by percentage points, have the worst record in the National League. Marlins head to Boston. This is the Red Sox Braves 6-game road trip. You know who's going to start and end it on the mound for Miami? Sandy Alcantara. You know, the reigning Cy Young Award winner who's 2-6 with a 5.08 ERA. Hey, big fella, now would be a good time to show up this year, okay? This week would be a good time to show up. Got it? Rays head out west. They're in Arizona. Taj Bradley against Zach Gallen tonight. It's a nice pitching matchup. Zach looking for his 10th win of the year for Arizona. Hey, the Marlins do get some good news, guys. Jazz Chisholm and John Segura, both coming off the injured list, joining the Marlins in Boston. How about that? Chisholm hasn't played in 7 weeks. And they've done really well. Imagine that. Funny how that works. Hey, in the NBA, we had a trade. We had a salary dump is what we had. Atlanta trades John Collins to Utah. This is a young player who's averaged 16 points, 8 rebounds a game in his 6-year NBA career. He gets traded for Rudy Gay and a 2nd-round pick and a trade exception. Hawks were like, please take his $78 million over the next 3 years off our books, please, so we can get under not 1 level but 2 levels of taxes. This would be great. And by the way, All right. The rumors are getting hot and heavy that Portland and Dame are headed to divorce. And Dame's already got his next woman in mind. And he looks an awful lot like Pat Riley. Apparently, Dame in the Heat. Just saying. The divorce hasn't happened yet, but
No, because the Heat have got to figure some stuff out. Watch if the Heat start making some other moves, then David's on to something.
Well, I don't think this is complicated. We got Tyler Hero we can offer at 20-something a year. We got Duncan Robinson we can offer at 20 a year. And we got an expiring contract in a year with Kyle Lowry at 30 a year.
Yeah, those might not all be going to Portland, though, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Those might be going to other teams to get some assets that Portland wants. So when Miami starts making some little moves, that means the Dame trade is on the horizon. That's all I'm saying, David.
Absolutely, Mark.
It's going to have to be, I think. At least the people that I trust, that I read, everybody seems to think there's got to be another team involved, that what Miami has isn't enough for Portland on the surface. So we shall see. Like I said, if Miami starts making a couple of little moves and you see Lowry sent here or Duncan Robinson sent there, that means it's getting closer.
Utah and Indiana have cap room to be a third partner in these trades. Just keep that in mind. And goodness knows Danny Ainge in Utah always looking for more draft picks. NHL. Last night was awards night. And man, did the NHL... Mark, they have as many awards as the Big Ten has trophy games. Connor McDavid won both the Hart, that's the league MVP, and the Ted Lindsay Award, which is best player in the league according to the Players Association. Ted Lindsay helped found the NHLPA. To the players, actually, the Lindsay Award, the Hart gets more prestige from the league, but to the players, they actually prefer the Ted Lindsay Award more. Jim Montgomery, see, the Bruins won 3 awards. Remember, this is all regular season. So Jim Montgomery, their coach, he won the Jack Adams. Patrice Bergeron won the Selke, best defensive forward. He's only been nominated 12 years in a row. And Linus Ullmark, all right, became the third Bruins goalie in the last 12 years to win the Vezina. By the way, Erik Karlsson won the Best Defenseman Award. That's called the Norris Trophy. Seattle forward Marty Beniers won the Calder. That's Rookie of the Year. And Anze Kopitar won the Lady Byng Award. That's like, most gentlemanly player.
Right.
Braden Point of Tampa Bay finished third for that, by the way. Tkachuk finished third in the MVP. I mean, a distant third. McDavid got every first place vote but one. But Tkachuk finished third from Florida for whatever that's worth. There was an NHL trade. It was a salary dump. Boston, they only had like $5 million left under the cap, and they had 7 guys they had to sign. So you knew they were trading somebody, and that somebody was Taylor Hall. He went to Chicago because they had like $40 million in cap room. Hell, they got to get to the floor. So they're going to put Taylor Hall on a line with that Bedard kid and try to actually have a representative team next year. So it frees up $6 million in cap space for the Bruins. Drafts tomorrow night in Nashville.
Connor Bedard will be taken first overall.
Yes, he will. They know who's going second. Apparently, the draft begins at number 3 in the NHL. NFL news, Mike Florio reporting the Jets will be the choice for Hard Knocks. College basketball, Trey Mitchell, he's one of those West Virginia guys who entered the portal. Some have returned to West Virginia because they promoted the assistant and made him interim coach. Trey Mitchell was not one of those guys. He left for Kentucky. He averaged 12.6 rebounds a game for West Virginia last year. Mark, this is Trey's 4th school. UMass, Washington State, okay, West Virginia, and now Kentucky. 4th school. Finally in golf. So 2 weeks from today, the PGA Tour and the PIF guy, that's the Performance Whatever Fund, and Greg Norman, they have to appear before a Senate subcommittee. Well, apparently the PGA Tour responded with a 5-page agreement, sent it to the Senate subcommittee. It outlines the deal between the PGA Tour and PIF. However, it does not specify what will happen with LIV, but I got to admit, if you read it closely, it does look as if LIV can continue on its own. They also could have shut the whole thing down after most likely 2024, except for maybe some of the team golf concepts. But the way they're trying to do this, they could let LIV just run on its own if they want to. If PIF is willing to, throw the money that they're willing to throw in towards the PGA Tour and continue to throw the money that they're throwing into LIV. And who knows? Maybe the Saudis will be willing to do that. Oh, by the way, it was reported yesterday, Saudis trying to basically buy the ATP World Tennis Tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wonder where you heard that before.
Right. So PGA Tour is still trying to keep their tax-exempt status. Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal goes, guys, you may have trouble with that. I'm just letting you know now. I'm just trying to see how you're going to be able to, so you're going to have the for-profit part of the deal, but yet you guys want to keep your tax-exempt status. That's usually a contradiction, so we'll see you in 2 weeks. No word if Jay Monahan, PGA Tour commissioner, will in fact show up at that Senate subcommittee. He's still out on medical leave. Okay, for the record, we saw Vladimir Putin before we saw Jay Monahan. And at 8 minutes before the hour mark, that was
the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Are we sure that was Putin, though?
He's got a few doubles. He does.
That's my only disclaimer with that one. Yes, he appeared on Russian TV yesterday, but I'm not exactly positive that it was him.
You think it could be that movie, Dave?
There's part of me that's convinced Putin's dead right now, or at least on life support, and they've just got a body double in his place.
Sitting in a cave somewhere, okay, watching everything on CNN. Hey, you got closed captioning for this thing? Who's this Caitlin Collins?
Miller and Moulton. David Samson coming up top of the hour. Text line open at 21,000. We will talk some Rays in the 7 o'clock hour as well with Steve Carney. Hope you stick around for it. David Samson again coming up in about 8 minutes time right here. Miller and Moulton, where else but the Florida Sports Network.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686. or book on saltlifetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Hi, David.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're just fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Glad you got to Miami safely.
It was a 10-hour trip.
Well, did you see all the flights yesterday nationwide?
It's incredible.
You know, got
There's
all
no
this,
air traffic controllers. There's no ground personnel. There's nobody.
Well, plus you throw in summer storms.
Right.
And once you get Atlanta impacted, it's ball game over in this country right now with flying.
It's untenable.
Got your email. We are off obviously next week's the 4th is Tuesday, so.
Do you do a show on the 4th?
No.
We do a best of, so no.
I'm not doing one either, actually. I asked Coca. I said, I'm ready to do one. He said, absolutely not. We're taking the day off.
So for the next little stretch here.
So I'm in for the 11th.
There you go. That'll be the one, and then we'll see you.
But then I'm out. I'm sorry. I'm going to Israel to visit my son, who's there for the summer.
Well, that's awesome. Good for you.
I knew when it was 3 weeks. I knew it was somewhere off of this continent. I was sure it was off of this continent.
I'm going to go see Springsteen in Germany and Austria on the way to go see two cities I've never seen.
I saw his third show on this tour. It was in Orlando. He did 2 hours and 40 minutes.
He's 73.
I know.
Here we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And the 7 o'clock hour on Tuesdays has started for quite a while with our next guest, David Samson. He of the Nothing Personal with David Samson daily podcast, which he does live at 8 a.m. weekdays. Then obviously, if you miss it, you can download it later on. You can follow him on Twitter at David P. Samson, David, the letter P. Samson. David, good morning. How has your week been?
Everything is outstanding. What could be wrong? Tuesday mornings are my favorite. You guys know that.
David joins us live from Miami, which is where he's doing work this week, part of the Dan Le Batard show and crew. Hey, listen, what do you think? Baseball went to London again. You know, they started this before the pandemic. I mean, Europe for baseball, is that where they should, be going when they're going to travel? I mean, they started it by going to Asia. What do you think about baseball in Europe?
Well, baseball in Europe is a loss leader right now, but it's an effort by baseball to expand. All the leagues are trying to get into Europe, and NFL feels that they have a stronghold. And, of course, MLB has a complex about NFL, so they want to try to get Europe going as well, and they feel London is the gateway to Europe. It can't be the gateway to all of Europe, just like the NFL has not exactly taken hold. As I was there last year and walking around London before the Packers game, people didn't even know locally that there was a game going on. Very hard market. There are not a lot of players who come from Europe, but it's something that sports do as a way to, quote-unquote, go international, and it feels good when you do these stunt games, but that's about it.
Would we ever get one like the Premier League here? I mean, we've got exhibitions that come over. Do you think they'd ever put a regular season game here? Because their league's exploding in our country, and I could never see that happening.
Nah, you'd get friendlies, and that's it. The EPL is a great example of a league that doesn't feel as though they need to do anything. That's teams coming here for money. They get paid appearance fees to come and do friendlies. But in terms of moving an actual regular season match, can you imagine a fan base in Liverpool if they lost a game at Anfield to Pro Players Stadium? I mean, it's literally unthinkable. So I don't see that happening whatsoever.
Although financially, their owners could make that argument, though, right? I mean, some of these, teams play before quaint, older stadiums. You could play them in football stadiums. It's triple the attendance.
Oh, I think that's what happens. That's the exhibition game. That's what I meant by friendlies, where definitely teams come and they take the trips and they try to gain a foothold, no pun intended, with football here. But football here, as you know, is all NFL, period. And as much as we talk about MLS and as much as we talk about the excitement of the EPL and World Cup, et cetera, it's not as though soccer is going to become one of the four major sports anytime soon here in the U.S. It doesn't mean globally, totally different. So I just think that it's not an example where they feel they need to expand their footprint as a league. Individual teams do, and they like the money, but that's different in baseball because it's not the Cubs going or the Cardinals or the Yankees or the Mets. They're not going on their own. They're going on behalf of MLB.
If you could buy into any league right now, any team in any league right now, where would you buy in?
It's hard to argue against the NFL and those franchise valuations. That is where I see the continued growth. And you've got franchises in the B already, billions, not necessarily hockey. It's not a great sign. I'm happy Ottawa got $950 million. It's nice, if you want to call it that the Sovereign Wealth Fund valued the Capitals at more than $1 billion. But I would still choose, without a doubt, the NFL.
By the way, you predicted that, David Samson. Nothing personal with David Samson. Follow him on Twitter, David P., the letter P, Samson. You predicted when, 3 weeks ago now, that the announcement was made with the PIF and the PGA Tour. You said, you wait, okay? And you mentioned specifically Washington and Chicago teams and their regional networks, and they're floundering and they needed cash. And sure enough, the first NBA team, if you will, slash NHL was the Wizards slash Capitals. Apparently it's 5%. By league rule, they can go up to 20. How long do you think these leagues will keep it where they can only have minority interest?
That is the question of the day. It's one thing when you can excuse the sports washing by saying it's a limited partnership interest. There's no control whatsoever. NBA made a statement. They were so nervous about the deal, they made a statement saying, keep in mind, there's no control here. There's no absolute control. They said it like in all caps, exclamation points. Do I think there comes a time when the money is so great and an owner wants to get out and we're out of people to write checks individually that a team could get a controlling interest from a fund? I think it's just a matter of time. You saw what is going on. F1's giving in.
But do you think like this decade, do you think it will happen in the 2020s?
I mean, what year are we in? We're in the middle of 24? Three? God.
Boy, that was a hell of a trip to Miami you experienced.
Are we live? 23, whatever it is. No, that's only 7 years. So, no, it will not be this decade.
Okay. Fair enough.
What do you make of the Marlins right now? Just to switch gears off of that and the whole thing, the Marlins are off to this great start. It's a little bit smoke and mirrors with what they're doing, but this is a big stretch. Boston and the Braves. What do you make of what the Marlins have done so far?
So this season and every baseball season is very interesting to me because at some point there's a great story about a team. It was only a month ago, and of course I could be wrong, it may be a month and a half, but the Pittsburgh Pirates were the talk. We were leading off shows with how great the Pirates are playing, and now they're right back where we thought. Now we're having a great talk about Cincy. People are coming to games. They've got De La Cruz, who's so much fun. But the baseball season is so long. The Marlins are playing a brand of baseball. It's old school. I love it. It's station to station. Arias is fun to go see. Even if you like the long ball, what's fun about him is that he puts the ball in play, doesn't strike out. They have great pitching. Yuri Perez may be one of the top 10 stories of the whole league. But now they enter a tough part of the schedule, and it's hard to sustain this over the course of a season. So I'm loving it right now, but I clearly worry, as opposed to the Rays, who have a team that is built to last an entire season, I don't know that the Marlins actually are.
Alcantara starts and finishes the 6-game road trip in Boston, in Atlanta. I think this is a big week for him and the team. They need to go 3-3 this week, and he needs 2 quality starts.
So it's funny. For 18 years, I used to do what you just did. We'd go on a road trip and we would say, all right, we just need to go 500. Let's just get home. Let's do a 3-3. And we can win 2 out of 3 in this. We've got Sandy going twice. We'd map it out and it would never work out the way we said. And at the end of the season, you look back at all the games that you could have won and didn't, and you totally ignore the games you shouldn't have won that you do, because it really does even out at the end of the day. I don't think the Marlins are looking at it that way, especially with how bad the Mets are. They really feel as though the Phillies are the team they just have to be careful of, but they like their position. And what they're really saying is we have Jazz back. We have Sandy, who has been pitching like a 7th starter. And if he returns not to Cy Young form, but just to a middle-of-the-rotation guy, that means we're going to be even better, and we have a chance to win 90 games. So I think that's more how they're looking versus what they have to do on this immediate road trip.
You talked about the Rays and how they're built. Obviously, they're killing it on a pace for 108 wins this season. What is it you like best about their team?
What I like best about their team is they were willing to bench Franco. That really is what I like best, that they're willing to take a player who they committed $180 million to, and they were willing to publicly call him out and say that he is not being the teammate that we need him to be. That means that they felt that there was so much going on that they needed to punish him publicly. You don't need to do that. Keep in mind, you can just sit him for 2 days and say that he's got a little tweak in his back or a little stub toe or he dropped a piece of luggage on his finger. We can come up with a million reasons not to play him for 2 games, but to go public the way they did, what that says to the clubhouse is, listen here, we're not going to take this. We are a team, we are professional, and we are here to play baseball the right way. I love what they did there.
Well, we said they pulled a Miami Heat, that this was a Riley Spo, Udonis Haslem type move from the Rays. And, we got to go all the way back to like Delman Young. I don't think they've had to do this with a player for, 15 years. Did you ever have to do this?
Yes, we had to do it with Hanley Ramirez. That's the first one I can think of, is when he was not hustling and he was loafing it and he was a pain in the neck. And as good as he was, we had to show the clubhouse that we were willing to sit him. We did it with Pudge. We sat him when he was being a pain in the neck, even the 1 year he was with us. So there are players you do it with, but you got to be careful what you do publicly. It's a very strategic thing how you use the media to get messages inside the clubhouse. Sometimes you keep it in the clubhouse. Sometimes you go to the media without going to the player. And sometimes you go to the player and say, just so you know, we're going to the media.
Do you think Franco can handle this? I mean, that's the ultimate question, is if this came out in the media, he's been a little bit of a pain in the you-know-what. So now how he comes out of this is everything, right, David?
Boy, I give the Rays, as you know, props every show I do about their front office and how they are far and away the best in the business. If he can't handle this, then they made a big mistake in signing him to the deal they signed him to. So they have to, or should have, known the answer to that question before they did what they did. This can't be an experiment.
We got about a minute left. There was a game last week in which it was like 24-1 after 2 innings. Do you ever think Major League Baseball will have a mercy rule?
I don't know if you watched or saw. Of course not. You guys are too busy. But I did a Nothing Personal where I did a segment on this very subject. We sat in a meeting, a committee meeting in Major League Baseball, and talked about this. The union won't allow it because they want the players to have the bulk stats in order to go to arbitration and free agency. But I've always believed that if you want to lay your king down, then you should have the right to. And we can't get agreement, so it's not going to happen.
Well, at what point, by the way? See, because I would argue with the players, listen, we'll play 7. You can lay the king down after 7. I'm not saying you lay it down the first time it gets to 10 runs. But come on, man. If it's 24-2 after 7, we get to go home.
I absolutely agree with you. It was hard enough getting the 7-inning doubleheaders after COVID. That was such a big deal in terms of stats and in terms of what was going on. So I just don't think it's going to happen, though I do love the idea. It's such a long season. It's required. Sometimes it's just not your day, and you've got to live to fight another day. And I understand from a season ticket holder standpoint, they want the full game. But in a 24-2 game, they've gotten a full game, even if it's only in the 7th inning.
He's David Samson. Nothing Personal with David Samson is recorded live in 47 minutes, 8 a.m. weekdays. You can follow David on Twitter at David, the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. David, enjoy your week in Miami. Safe travels. We'll do it again soon.
Looking forward. Have a great day.
David Samson, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Next Tuesday is the 4th. We will not be doing a live show on the 4th, so David won't join us for another 2 weeks here on Miller and Moulton.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay, be safe.
So my wife has, wondered about me having Maddie in here. She says, that's not very professional. Exactly. I go, have you seen the company that I work with?
I was going to say, first off, neither are we. But hello. And secondly, it's not like she's performing an instrument in the background. I mean, it's not like we're, doing the McAfee show here and the language is inappropriate for her. I mean, come on. That is interesting, Ambient. So, what I found interesting, speaking of NASCAR, you and I were talking about it the other day, and you said, I have not watched hardly any NASCAR this year. And last year, you watched a decent amount.
Yes.
And so, who said the same thing? Casio. He said, man, I was all in last year. He goes, I haven't watched any of it this year. Like, he didn't even know that Nashville was going on Sunday night.
I was right there with him. I figured it was during the day.
And I asked him, I go, why? How come you haven't watched this year? He's like, I don't know. And, you're a Chastain guy. Chastain's been in the top 5 half the year in races. So I'm just curious, why do you think it is this year you don't have the fever?
A little bit of the Rays. I've been watching more Rays baseball. That's been top of mind this year.
Okay.
That would be my first one. Second one is just life's got in the way a little bit more that I haven't been paying attention. And I've been watching more golf. Ironically, as much as I supported Live Golf, I've been watching the PGA Tour. On Sundays, I have found myself going to those channels.
So in other words, all these elevated events have worked.
Yeah, and I've watched the non-elevated events too. I've just been watching golf more.
Okay. Oh, you are getting older.
Baseball and golf.
Well, you're
stick me in a hole now.
You're at the back end of the demo, baby. You still fit, but not much longer.
I got another year in the good demo, and then I'm done. And that really doesn't even count because they don't care about the 54 part of the 25.
Yeah, true, but you're in it. That's just you're in the club. Your membership expires in like 14 months.
You got that right. Then I'm a proud member of the 35 to 64 club.
Yeah, baby.
David, I don't know what you got here.
I got nothing.
But I've got early college football lines for games.
And Felipe's got a play of the day, right?
All right. Unless, yeah.
Yes.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Just got done talking with David Samson. We'll talk with Steve Carney in a little more than 15 minutes' time. Rays begin the second half of their season tonight. They're in Arizona. Could be a World Series preview, Mark. Rays and Diamondbacks.
Well, we know who will win the World Series then. Like the texter says, Florida, the runner-up state.
Wow.
Gator baseball, no soccer and softball, the Heat and the Panthers. Who's next?
FAU and the Canes in the Final Four. Come on now. We're knocking on the door, baby. So you're not counting the Florida men's track and field national championship? That doesn't count?
The Florida Golf Championship?
Yeah, just come on now. You're only claiming the silver medals, not the gold. Come on now. But I'm telling you, put money on the Marlins right now. Right now, Marlins make the playoffs, yes or no? David Samson, by the way, narrowed it down in which he said the Mets right now look to be so bad. If you're the Marlins, this is not a 4-team race in the East. This is just a 3-team race, which means take the Braves out of it. If you're the Marlins right now, you're thinking, if we finish ahead of the Phillies, we're going to make the playoffs. Which may not be true because the Padres could conceivably catch both of you. But right now, Mark, there are 4 games ahead of the Phillies, 3 in the loss column, half a season to go. Who would you bet on?
I still have trouble betting on the Marlins, David, and here's why. The Braves are the only team in their division with a run differential in the positive. You know the Cubs are the only team in the Central with a positive run differential. And yet 4 of the 5 teams in the West have a positive run differential.
Including I think the Padres, who are below 500.
Correct. So I would hedge my bet and say that they're not going to make it, that the season's going to catch up with the Marlins.
So if we think 3 playoff teams are coming from the West, right now it would be Arizona, San Francisco, and the Dodgers. And obviously, you've got a Central Division champion in the Braves. So the Marlins are competing with the Phillies, who are the only other team with a winning record, I believe, in the National League. And although the second place team in the Central, technically, the Reds are above 500.
The Reds are above 500.
But we only expect one team to come out of the Central. That's fair, right?
I think it's fair.
So if you're the Marlins, you're competing with the Phillies and you're really thinking, man, the Padres at some point got to figure this out, right?
That's where I'm hedging my bet, David. But what's the difference between the Reds and the Marlins?
Well, I think the Marlins have superior pitching, which over the long haul I would bet on. So that's, I think, the difference.
I got you, but they're both flawed teams. One can't pitch and one can't hit.
Right. But the Marlins are hitting, better certainly than they did last year in the last couple of years. We'll see if that continues. It is, here they are. what? They're the number one wild card team. They've got the third best record in the National League, don't they?
Yes.
Okay, and their ace pitcher, quite frankly, should be dropped from the rotation. He's pitched that badly. And the guy who was on the cover of EA or MLB 24, whatever the hell it was, he's been out for 7 weeks.
You're right. He has. They're a half game ahead of the Giants. They're 2 full games ahead of the Dodgers. They're a boatload ahead of everybody else, except for the Reds.
They're 4 ahead of the Phillies, 3 in the loss column. That's, if you're the Marlins, that's who you're looking at. Right in your rearview mirror. Just worry about the Phillies. I think everything else plays itself out. If the Padres catch you, they'll probably do it at the expense of somebody else in that division. I mean, it's tough to expect that all 3 wild cards are coming from one division. And I think the second place team
it was a year ago, though, with
true
the way schedules are.
And I think the second place team in the East will finish with a better record than the second place team in the Central. So right now, I think if you're the Marlins, you're like, listen, we got to beat the Phillies, which I don't know how many games they got left and what have you, but circle those suckers. Those are big games.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. Felipe, what do you have for us?
1-1 ball game in Anaheim in the bottom of the 9th. Man on second and third. Don't want to throw a wild pitch in this situation, right? Well,
here's the next pitch. It's low. It gets away from the catcher. Grand ball. Trout will score, and the ball game is over. So, boy, what a gift win tonight. A walk-off win for the Angels on a wild pitch brings in the winning run. Mike Trout from third base, and the Angels come away with the victory tonight here at the Big A. Win it by the final of 2-1, and you can put a halo over this one.
Had more of a football voice in the beginning of that one than he did a baseball voice. It was grovelly. I liked it.
At the very end, he went a little Brockmeyer. And you can put a halo on this one.
He did, but run that again. Listen to the grovel at the beginning. It sounds like a fullback going through the middle on a dive play.
Here's the next pitch. It's low. It gets away from the catcher. Grand ball. Trout will score, and the ball game is over.
Had a little Larry Munson to it. Did you see all those dogs on the field? I mean, he got grovelly.
All we needed was the 25-20, 15-10.
Oh, that run wasn't going that far. Barrels into the line, stumbles ahead for 3, and it's a first down. That's all that was.
We kicked him in the nose with a hard knob boot.
That's your Clutch Vodka play of the day.
By the way, we have to remember June 27th, 2023, a walk-off wild pitch was our play of the day. We need to have a moment, okay? Because now that has to be a low point for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
It's baseball season.
I know, and there's not much else going on right now. You didn't have many choices, but we did just have a walk-off wild pitch to determine an Angels-White Sox game as our play of the day.
Well, we had 6 games last night in the College World Series final. We had 7 games to choose from.
I know. I'm just saying, though. You know, he didn't go with the 2-run homer by the Milwaukee player to win that game 2-1 because that happened in the 6th. You know, I thought he might just, have the call on the Acuna homer because he loves him so. And who doesn't?
And because he's wearing his cane stuff today, I thought there was a chance he might just play the end of the College World Series with Florida losing to rub it in.
I spared Florida fans.
So there you go. Walk-off wild pitch. Hello. Hey, Marlins and Phillies, by the way, have 10 of their 13 meetings this year still left. The next 7 meetings will all take place in Miami. The first series after the 4th of July, and then beginning July 31st, a 4-gamer in Miami. July 31st and the first 3 days of August. Just
what do you
saying.
say, Philly? Let's take one in. Let's find an afternoon game. Go watch some Marlins baseball.
That doesn't sound too bad.
So there you have it. Circle those series. They're big. Maybe one of them will produce the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Thank you, Brockmeyer, for getting it in.
That's Clutch with a K.
We're Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening. We'll talk a little Rays baseball on the other side right here, the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
We declared our independence in 1776 and have been celebrating the 4th of July with concerts, parades, fireworks, and new sunglasses ever since.
Todd, I'm not sure they had sunglasses back then, but let's go with that since the Diamond District can't have a concert, parade, or fireworks in the store and want to celebrate. So this 4th of July, with a purchase of $500 or more, you'll receive free Bose audio sunglasses.
That's right. With any purchase of $500 or more, now through the 4th of July, the Diamond District will give you free Bose audio sunglasses. Listen to your favorite music by the pool, while running, or walking the beach.
Visit the Diamond District now through the 4th of July for your free Bose audio sunglasses with purchase of $500 or more. Only at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Plus, every win feels like a must-win game for the Angels at this point.
We'll say, though, Felipe, they're only a game out of the playoffs.
Who's that?
The Angels.
I feel like they've been in this.
They're a half a game out of the playoffs.
They've
Both
been in
them
this.
and the Astros are a half a game out of the playoffs. At this moment in time, all three wild cards would come from the East. Toronto's a half a game ahead of both Houston and the Angels.
It would just be good for baseball if we could just see these two dudes in the freaking playoffs.
Oh.
I mean, it's annoying the fact that they have the two best players in baseball and they can't even make the playoffs. It's surreal.
I mean, the Angels' run differential is the third best in the American League. Now, the difference between the Texas and Tampa Bay and the rest of the league's over 100 runs, but
Maddie, you have anything you want to say to the Twitch audience? Anything you want to talk about? You want to talk football? She just turned her back to me, the chair. Maddie, are you excited for football season? 60 days away. Who's your favorite team these days? You don't have one? Not football team, all teams. It's not the Rays? Oh, my goodness.
Steve's on hold. Speaking of Rays. Ten seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Steve Carney's kind enough to join us once again. He's the founder of stpete9.com, stpete9.com. He also hosts the Under the Orange Roof podcast. He covers Rays baseball and other things. Follow Steve on Twitter at Steve Carney, Carney. Steve, it's David and Mark. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. It's always good to be on with you, and especially after some of an eventful weekend and now the start of a really important road trip for this team.
The Rays at the midway point of the season at 54-27 on pace for 108 wins. We'll get to recent events in a second. But Steve, as somebody, and you're probably tired of this topic, and I get it, but we've been following the A's situation for a while because we knew once that situation got resolved, the Rays would be on the clock. We all know they got 4 more years after this one of the lease. If they are going to have a new stadium, they need it for opening day 2028. They basically have 4 years and 8 months from today, Steve, to have a new stadium built and ready to go, which means what? 3 years from shovel and ground to build it. So this thing's got to get resolved in the next 18 to 20 months, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And knowing the way that this team operates, I have a feeling that it's going to be resolved a little earlier than that. I certainly see that the progress has been made on a local level here in the Tampa Bay region, that I think that this is going to be resolved here before the end of the year. We're actually going to have shovels in the ground by the start of 2024, which is a great sign for baseball in this market, and the fact that I really do believe that as of, unless something drastically changes, we're going to be playing Major League Baseball in the regular season here in Tampa Bay for a long time to come.
In St. Pete, though, right?
Yes, it would be in St. Pete because the land is already there. We're talking about an 86-acre tract of land, not like the 9 acres that the A's are going to have from the Valley Group in Las Vegas to build their stadium. I'm still very interested to see how they're going to be able to pull this off because, they've talked about that stadium being a retractable roof and all the things that you need to play Major League Baseball in a climate condition in the summer in Las Vegas. You guys have both been to Las Vegas. It's, hotter than, the surface of the sun in July and August. And so you need that retractable roof. I'm going to be very curious to see how they're able to fit that in a 9-acre swath of land. You don't have to worry about that at Tropicana Field at that site because it is 86 acres. You can get a ballpark. You can get all this mixed use stuff going on. You can have new residential, which I think is vital for this project to work, because we've all talked about how there's not enough people right now that live in that area. You've got to get more people that want to live in that area, and to do that, you've got to build new residential.
Steve, and obviously this is not reality because the revenue sharing is going to continue. But like this year, Rays attendance is up nearly 25%. Obviously, they have a terrific ball club. If you took revenue sharing out of the equation, are the Rays break even or profitable in St. Pete, averaging what they're averaging a game, which this is a good year for attendance for the Rays? Is this on its own a profitable ball club and the revenue sharing is just icing on the cake?
With the new television contract, I would say yes, that it is. I think that's a big local piece for this team, is the fact that they were able to get out from under their initial television contract, which was signed in the dark ages. It seems like, back when everybody had AOL accounts and broadband internet wasn't a thing. That was when their first television contract, and that went for a long, long time. But they were able to get a new television deal done that basically tripled what they were getting for the most part. By all reports, that they're now getting like 3 times as much money from their television deal now than they were back then. And so I think that's a big reason why I do believe that even if you were to take revenue sharing out, the ownership group is not losing money on this team.
Steve Carney, stpete9.com, stpete9.com. He also hosts the Under the Orange Roof podcast. Under the Orange Roof is the podcast. Follow Steve on Twitter, Steve Carney, Carney.
All right, let's get to, well, not necessarily on the field, but the team and off the field. Wander Franco benched for a couple of days for the way he's acted. Is this going to be a lingering problem, or do you think the Rays have nipped it in the bud right from the get-go?
Well, I certainly hope that they've nipped it in the bud. I mean, you guys understand this. This is the business of baseball, not the friendship of baseball. Guys don't have to like each other, but they do all have to row in the same direction when asked to, and when, in order to be successful, they're all going to have to row in the same direction. And so if you've got a guy that is not rowing in the same direction, you've got to be able to address that situation. And whether you do it privately, like the Rays have been known to do, or you do it publicly, this is something that is very unusual for this ball club. It's not unusual to have a guy that can be kind of discordant, to say. And the Rays have had guys in the past that have been discordant. Logan Morrison is certainly one that comes to mind. Delman Young, of course, they had. He's another guy that can be rather abrasive, and they've had blow-ups in the dugouts before. This team, they're not all going to be friends and sing kumbaya around the fireplace, but you got to get guys going in the same direction. And when you have a guy that's going in the opposite direction or against the grain, you got to get them in line. And hopefully that's what they did by sitting Wander for a couple of days and showing, and I heard David Samson on your show say this, that it's great to see that they're showing everybody, hey, just because this guy is going to make $186 million doesn't mean he gets any. He's special, or he's better than, or he can do things that you can't. Everybody's got to row in the same direction.
Steve, is this just immaturity, or is he just a jerk? I mean, is he Josh Donaldson, who's maybe the biggest jerk in the game right now? Dave Kingman, nobody signed Dave Kingman after a season in which he hit 30-something home runs because he was just the biggest blankety blank in the game, and nobody wanted to deal with him anymore. I mean, is he just a jerk right now, or is this immaturity?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. I mean, he is the only guy on this team that is signed for the next, 11 years and $180 some odd million. And so we're going to find out whether this is the case. Now, knowing the front office, they believe that this is immaturity. I mean, it's kind of the par for the course when you've got a guy who is as talented as he is, and I've told the story before that I had a former Rays coach tell me when he was working with the organization, he had gone to see Wander in Princeton, West Virginia. So this is the Appalachian League, rookie baseball, as a 17-year-old. And this is a guy that had been in baseball for 40 plus years. And I asked him what he thought of Wander, and he said he is the best bat to ball skills I have ever seen. And I went, ever? And he went, did I stutter? And I was like, oh my God. So I don't know if the team has ever had someone this talented ever. And the fact is that, the guys like him have egos. I mean, I remember when he was an 18-year-old coming to big league spring training for the first time, and he showed up in a Lamborghini. So, he's got himself an ego. The question is, can he keep it in check for the betterment of the team? I think he can. I think he understands that he's got to be able to, do business with guys that he may not like and that may not like him.
Yeah, his answers after coming into the game, I know through an interpreter, were all the proper things to say. We'll just have to see how it spells out on the field going forward. When you look at this team right now, are there holes that you see that you're looking to see get filled? I mean, I know the pitching was a little banged up. They need some bullpen help perhaps, but is there a hole on this team that you see that's evident?
Yeah, there is. I'm really concerned about the fifth starter position, not having Springs now because he had Tommy John surgery, not knowing what you're going to get out of Drew Rasmussen if he comes back this year. We've seen how Yanni Chirinos looks as a starter as opposed to one of these bulk guys that they like to use. I'm kind of concerned about that position. And as you mentioned, I definitely think that they need bullpen help. I definitely think that shoring up the bullpen is going to be something that Eric Neander, Peter Bendix and company are looking at. And, they've done, some work about it already, going out and getting Jake Diekman and Zach Littell. They've already felt that, we've got to make our bullpen better. And I still think they need to add some more to that area, but also the fifth starter position could be a very big question, especially through the last couple of months of the regular season, through August and September. You're not going to need it in the playoffs, that's for sure, but you definitely are going to need that fifth starter role in August and September, and I'm not sure how deep they are further from this point. There are a couple of names at AAA that I think could fill in at points, but even guys like Elvin Rodriguez, who's been very good, has also been injured at the AAA level.
Well, and they got through that 39-game stretch very effectively. But, they're coming up on a 6-week stretch here in which, if Seattle, they're a game below 500 right now. If they can win 2 of their next 3, they'll be 500. The Rays will have a 6-week stretch in which they will only play one team that's below 500. That'll be the Royals, and they just struggled with them, ironically enough. I mean, this is not going to be an easy stretch leading up to the trade deadline, which is 5 weeks today.
Yeah, it's amazing to think that, we talked earlier in the season about the stretch that they were going to have at the beginning of May through the middle of June being their tough stretch. Now it looks like this is going to be their tough stretch. It's crazy how the 162-game season ends up working out. And when we look back at the 2023 Tampa Bay Rays season, we'll find out, okay, that was the stretch where this team was made or where this team missed the mark.
Steve, finally, they made a deal a couple years ago in which they brought on some salary with Nelson Cruz. It didn't necessarily work out in the postseason, but, they were the best team in the American League that year in the regular season, and they went for it. Do you think the Rays will spend a little bit of money this year? Because right now, they're the best team in the American League.
Yeah, I think they have to. I really do think that they have to. And I think part of it is going to be trying to get, like I said, the bullpen help, and they're going to have to spend some money to probably shore up the final spot in their rotation for the last couple of months. But I'll tell you, having gone for it in 2021 with Nelson Cruz. How nice would Joe Ryan look in the Rays rotation right now? Because that's what they had to give up in order to go for it. And I have a feeling that they're going to have to give up another big piece or two in order to go for it this year as well.
Steve Carney, stpete9.com, stpete9.com. He also hosts the Under the Orange Roof podcast. Under the Orange Roof is the name of the podcast. Follow Steve on Twitter, Steve Carney, Carney. Steve, always appreciative of your time and your insights. Stay well. Enjoy the 4th. We'll talk to you mid-July how the Rays are doing in this stretch, okay?
Sounds good, guys. Appreciate it.
Steve Carney, kind enough to join us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Arizona, Seattle, and then, they got only the Royals. I mean, they got, even when they play Phillies, Braves, Marlins in the National League. I mean, yes, that's right. Marlins, right? What's it? The Sunshine Series? What do they call this? Is this going to be the biggest ever Sunshine Baseball Series?
Who wins the glass of orange juice? They have tried so hard to make Tampa and Miami rivals in hockey and baseball, and it's just not there.
No, it isn't. But could be an interesting series, though, in 3 weeks at the Trop.
It's for the first time maybe ever.
Right.
Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. We'll talk a little college football on the other side of the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
While talking with my friends Jason and Todd with the Diamond District, the 4th of July came up, and Todd was like,
Jason, the Diamond District is celebrating 20 years in business. Let's give something away for free this 4th of July.
Then Jason, with that aha look on his face, said,
Todd, I had the perfect idea. I was wearing my Bose audio sunglasses at the pool the other day and loved the feel, the look, and the sound. Let's do this. With a purchase of $500 or more, we'll give a pair of these sweet sounding shades away.
It didn't take Todd long to agree.
Jason, you're brilliant. Who wouldn't want Bose audio sunglasses? And for a purchase of $500 or more, it's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. Now through the 4th of July, free Bose audio sunglasses with your purchase of $500 or more from the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and Tiki Bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6, and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Sonny, what makes you think you'll be able to bet? Honestly.
Oh, by 28? By the time the new stadium opens? Yeah, you'll be able to bet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, don't you think?
Well, I don't think it's happening for 2 more years at the earliest, and I think it could be 3.
All right. The new stadium won't be done
Yeah,
in 3. So
that's true.
that's all he said is maybe we'll bet
Okay.
from in the new stadium.
All right. Oh, God, I hope you're right, Sonny. Well, RCB, what you're missing is that there's no one in Tampa willing to step up and finance it. And St. Pete's willing to do it. Land, money, this is a business decision.
Oh, it's all right there. It's Jeff Gordon. Jeff Gordon. The 88 and 7. I may have to listen to that.
I mean, it's right there. May have to go out in the hallway.
$30.
That is a 22-second message from June 13th, 2012 with 7 F-bombs in it.
It's very well, and I know how the message starts. FCB.
No, he didn't have that one in there.
He didn't say that?
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Just like that, it's the third and final hour of Miller and Moulton, at least along the network in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour awaits in the 239 at the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Before we get to what you teased, which was a little college football, how about Steve Carney there saying, listen, I think we're percolating with this Rays Stadium thing. I expect shovels in the ground before opening day next year in St. Pete. And I expect an agreement before the end of the year in the next 6 months.
I will say the one thing, and I hope he's right. It does severely contrast what David Samson has talked about, how this game is played. Because he's never talked specifically about Tampa and St. Pete and their stadium hosts, but he has talked about stadium issues and that he has basically said that these things go right until the 11th hour before any deal is ever struck. That would be interesting if they get it done, essentially a year ahead of time, David.
Well, they got a fairly recent, mayor who's all in and has picked the place. And I guess it's just a matter of financing, right? How much are you kicking in? How much are you kicking in? And, we'll see if maybe we can get some help from somewhere else. Not named Tallahassee. Hello. But so, all right, that'd be great. Be great. And then Major League Baseball will move right into expansion, baby. Let's go. $2 million a team. Let's go.
You know what'll be interesting, David, is will the expansion team start playing before the Rays stadium's done, if you know what I mean? No, but if it's in construction, if they get a deal done, they can have expansion the next day. I mean, literally, when the shovel's in the ground and the deal's done, they could expand a day later if they wanted to.
Yes, they could. Absolutely. As soon as there is a signed deal with the Rays and their new stadium, Major League Baseball at that point can go, okay, now we can expand. Now we can figure out, are we going to stay AL, NL? Are we going to realign the divisions by geography? Are we going to go the NFL route? Are we going to have 8 4-team divisions? And we're going to have 4 division champions and only 2 wild cards. Will they go 8 playoff teams per league and, be like, I don't know, the NBA and NHL? I mean, we'll see. I mean, come on. We've had back-to-back commissioners. Baseball has a reputation in which they don't, and it is, quite frankly, it's a misnomer. Bud Selig made radical changes to baseball, and look what Rob Manfred's done in 8 years. Baseball has changed a lot in the last 30 years. A lot.
I mean, think about it. We've got the DH in both leagues. We've got interleague play. We've added playoff teams right and left.
Now we got
eliminated the shift. We have a pitch clock.
And we're apparently a couple years away from robo umpires. I mean, it's got a reputation that, quite frankly, is not earned. And for what it's worth, by the way, last weekend, best attended weekend Major League Baseball's had in 8 years. Baseball attendance is up. Is it the new rules? Is it people finally getting far enough removed from the pandemic? Is it certain franchises who haven't had success recently having some success? Whatever. But baseball attendance is up. Over 3/4 of the league has their attendance higher than a year ago. Just saying.
All right, I promised some college football, and I'm going to deliver, David, because there are early season betting lines that are out for college football.
Well, Mark, 60, 65, 72 are the magic numbers. 60 days away from week 0, 65 away from the start of week 1.
8 p.m. on August 31st, the Gators are getting 8 points against Utah.
Wow, that keeps going down. That was like 9.5 a month ago. What's going on there?
LSU and Florida State is a virtual pick'em. LSU's getting a point.
Yeah, I think the highest that line ever was 2.
Texas and Alabama on September 9th. Alabama, 9.5-point favorite.
That's in Tuscaloosa. Big edge at quarterback for Texas in that game. Remember, Quinn Ewers on one side. We have no idea who's on the other.
A&M and the Canes. A&M's a 3.5-point favorite.
That's in Miami, right?
It is.
It's a big game for Jimbo.
Tennessee and Florida, September 16th. Gators are getting 6.5.
At home.
At home.
So you're getting 6.5 at home with the Gators against the Vols right now. Do you try to hope that goes up a little bit? Maybe Florida loses to Utah and that line goes to 7.5?
Put it this way, if I were to bet this right now, I would jump all over Tennessee at 6.5. I don't know about you, David.
Okay.
Florida State is a 3-point dog against Clemson.
I jump all over Clemson.
Ohio State and Notre Dame in South Bend. The Buckeyes are a 10-point favorite.
Ooh, that's going to be in prime time, too. That'll be on NBC.
Let's see. Alabama and A&M. Alabama's a 9.5-point favorite. That one's in Texas A&M, at Texas A&M.
Bama's got some challenging road games this year in the SEC.
Bama hosts Tennessee. They're an 8.5-point favorite. That same day, Ohio State's a 9.5-point favorite over Penn State.
Really?
Yes.
That's a good Penn State defense. That's a very good Penn State defense.
Put it this way. This is what I find interesting is they've got, just to stick with the Penn State, the Big Ten here for a second. So Penn State's a 9.5-point dog to Ohio State on October 21st. Penn State hosting Michigan is just a 1.5-point dog on November 11th. And Ohio State and Michigan, the Buckeyes, are a 1-point dog at the Big House on November 25th.
So basically, if you're betting Florida State, LSU, and Ohio State, Michigan right now, you can, for all intents and purposes, get it at Pick'em.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, Ohio State and LSU are 1-point dogs in those games.
Georgia and Florida, want to take a guess at what that spread is?
19.5.
Well, that's really good, David. You would win both showcases. It's 20.5, but that's an excellent choice. How about LSU and Alabama on November 4th?
It's in Tuscaloosa.
Yes.
7.5.
9.5. Bama's favored by.
Ooh. Remember, LSU's going to have the better quarterback, at least we think.
So those are just a few of the games they've got out there. Couple of early season lines. And I got, Bud Elliott had put something out on this, and that's when I started researching to find the lines. The sharp gamblers will go after these lines early. Very big advantage one way or another. So some of the...
Well, I said I would jump Clemson only laying 3 right now at home against Florida State. Is there a game out there that you're like, oh, I got to jump this now?
Yeah, the Tennessee 6.5 against Florida.
Wow. Who's quarterbacking for Tennessee?
That's a great question. Who's quarterbacking for Florida?
Well, unfortunately, we know who, and he's not good. Actually, Tennessee's got the transfer Joe. Somebody threw the ball 80 yards the other day. Joe Moulton, the former Michigan quarterback, right? Isn't that who their quarterback is? Isn't that his name?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Big strong arm guy. So it's a friendly system for a quarterback. We've seen that at a bunch of different places. So see, that's what I want to see. Okay, Tennessee had a terrific year. Can they back it up? Florida State had a terrific year. Can they back it up? With both schools now with what? Expectations. Pressure. Florida State's got to go to Clemson. Tennessee's got to go to Alabama, to Florida. Now they do get Georgia at home. Probably the only game Georgia's going to play this year where the line will be single digits. Do they have a line on that one?
7.5, by the way.
7.5. I'd take Tennessee right now, by the way, because it's over 7. I would take it right now.
And I don't know if I would, David, because Georgia's schedule is so easy. And they're going to plow through it with such defiance that line could actually go up and be inaccurate, if you know what I mean.
No, I hear you. I hear you. It's just, Georgia's still unproven at quarterback, even though everybody they got's got a bunch of stars next to their name. We are taking for granted Georgia had a pretty effective college quarterback the last year and a half. I don't know if people remember, what's that name again? Oh, yeah, Stetson Bennett. By the way, Stetson Bennett not eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. Not eligible.
He wasn't an All-American.
Was never a first-team All-American. He's not eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. Just like Mike Leach, Les Miles. Did you see about Les Miles?
Yes, just going to bring that up.
Because of the games that got taken away by this LSU penalty last week that affected Will Wade and what have you. LSU lost a bunch of wins from at the end of Les Miles' tenure, he's one win shy of being eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame. Same with Mike Leach, by the way. Literally one win they both had, or if you rounded up their winning percentage, they're both, I think, 597. You round it up at 600, 60%, that's the threshold. Stetson Bennett, College Football Hall of Famer, yes or no?
I'd lean yes.
I would too.
But they have very strict rules. It's almost like the LPGA. You've got to hit this certain threshold. If you don't hit it, you're not in. Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
We declared our independence in 1776 and have been celebrating the 4th of July with concerts, parades, fireworks, and new sunglasses ever since.
Todd, I'm not sure they had sunglasses back then, but let's go with that since the Diamond District can't have a concert, parade, or fireworks in the store and want to celebrate. So this 4th of July, with a purchase of $500 or more, you'll receive free Bose audio sunglasses.
That's right. With any purchase of $500 or more, now through the 4th of July, the Diamond District will give you free Bose audio sunglasses. Listen to your favorite music by the pool, while running, or walking the beach.
Visit the Diamond District now through the 4th of July for your free Bose audio sunglasses with purchase of $500 or more. Only at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Sonny, until Florida State goes to Clemson and wins, I can't pick them to go there and win. I just can't do it. Clemson's roster is still better than Florida State's. You're right. Florida State's quarterback is better. Much.
I got something dumb here if we need it.
Sure.
I wasn't talking to you. You just get over there on your tablet and do your thing. Yes.
Greek God, what are you talking about? You aren't at the stadiums for like 5 hours anymore. Who are we
Baseball.
talking about?
Baseball.
Gotcha.
The attendance being up.
It's 30 minutes, by the way. It's 26 to 30 minutes, something like that. Game is shortened by.
By the way, maybe baseball stadiums will start letting people in a little earlier now than they used to. Like they used to let you in an hour and a half before it so you could see both teams bat.
I would also to sell.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's your half hour that you're getting back.
Right. Stetson Bennett, Ken Dorsey. Now, Ken Dorsey, he won the Maxwell. He was a Heisman finalist twice. Was a first-team All-American. But, man, those teams were loaded. I think the 01 Miami team, one of the 3 greatest college football teams of all time. By the way, Michael, I have no interest in the street race in Chicago. I will turn it on for 10 minutes just to actually see the course and go, huh? And then that's it. I hate street road course racing. Hate it. It's boring. There's virtually no passing.
Do you like Bristol then?
Okay.
I know it's passing, but it's short track, and that's it's fun for a little bit. For a whole race, I think Bristol's boring.
No, Bob and Jake, but I think Glenn is more spread out than a street race. That's why I'll be curious for 10 minutes to see. Yes, I will watch F1 in Vegas because I think it visually it will be. Plus, I also think Vegas is laid out very differently than Chicago. Yeah, I mean, Bob and Jake, I covered the Glen for 3 years, actually longer. They got 3 long stretches in that road course. There are plenty of areas to pass on the Glen. But Michael, I'll give the race a chance, but not much of one.
We're coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We had David Samson last hour. We had Steve Carney talking Rays last hour. You miss any part of the show, download it, floridasportsnetwork.com. floridasportsnetwork.com. Felipe will get those interviews up there in short order.
You want to text the show, 21,000 is the number, 21000. The keyword is FSN Radio. If you've never texted the show before, type that in, FSN Radio, all one word. Then you can text as little or as much as you would like. Got a couple of texts last night during the College World Series. Upset at the interference call.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, this person took the time to say, chalk up another sport I'm finished with. When a runner steps in the middle of first base bag and is called out, unreal. And then just someone else that said bad call.
Yep.
Baseball's got a replay problem, don't they, David?
Well, they've got 2 calls that they're struggling with right now. One is the running down the baseline interference call, and the other is the whole blocking of the home plate in Major League Baseball anyway. Some of the calls they've had in the last week to 10 days in Major League Baseball against the catchers is outrageous.
So outrageous. They've got things they've got to figure out here, particularly with the blocking the plate at home, because it's gross.
What's interesting is, like in football, how would you characterize the use of replay in football? Do you think it when they go to replay, do you think, oh, well, they're usually aggressive here? Or do you not think that? Because what we're seeing lately in baseball, when it is being used, there are far more overturns lately. That replay has gotten very aggressive in baseball. New York is overturning a lot more things that we're going, what are they doing? Where when they first started using replay, we're like, he was out, and they're going with the original call. And we're like, well, then why the heck do we have this? So I feel as if, and Mark, you and I are hockey guys. Like, I think hockey replay has gotten more aggressive every year.
Particularly to me with the offside rule, how close they're calling offside after the goal call and looking back on whether everybody was in by the fraction of an eyelash or not.
So, and I sense that now in baseball, we've had it for a while now. I sense they're getting more aggressive. I think with the blocking of the plate, they've gone too far. I think they need to simplify what the base running rule is. Is it at any point in time, if you have a foot on the grass inside the first or third base line, is that it? You're out? Or is it, where are you when the ball is being thrown from the catcher to the bag? Or where are you when the ball gets to you? Like if think about it, how many times do you see the runner, he starts running inside the line. He's on the grass halfway down the line, but then he makes his way into the dirt, makes his way into the base path. But when he's running down the line, the catcher fields the ball and looks, and the base runner's kind of sort of in his way a little bit.
Well, I mean, even like last night's letter of the law, that wasn't even the catcher. That was a play from the pitcher.
Right.
The runner had beaten the throw anyhow.
Right.
But
so I just think they need to simplify it.
David, I don't think this group is going to get the overturn that they want. Speaking of getting calls overturned.
What group?
The Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. There is a summer collegiate baseball team or a summer collegiate baseball league in the South. One of the teams plays in Macon, Georgia.
Are they the Whoopee?
No, that was their hockey team of the old in the old ECHL. Well, still the ECHL, but they're not around anymore. They're the Macon Bacon. And the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is a group that promotes, of course, plant-based eating.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
In a message to the team president, Anna Herby, their group's nutrition education program manager, wrote, Macon Bacon's glorification of bacon, a processed meat that raises the risk of cancer and other diseases, sends the wrong message to fans. The mascot for the Macon Bacon, they're in the Coastal Plains League.
Please tell me it's a pig.
No, it's Kevin. Get it? Kevin Bacon?
I would name the pig Kevin. That's fantastic.
The group wants the team to change their name to the Macon Fakin' Bacon, referring to a plant-based bacon, of which I'm sure tastes awful.
Lighten up, Francis, will you? Come on.
Some of the things you can get at a Macon Bacon game are bacon-wrapped bacon, steak-cut bacon, and bacon-loaded cheese fries, and, of course, the bacon chips.
Wait, what was the second one? I was too busy laughing.
Steak-cut bacon.
Steak-cut bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Bacon-wrapped bacon.
Bacon-wrapped bacon.
Man, oh man. You know, this group that just did great marketing for this baseball team.
Oh, Hats are going to fly off the shelves.
Totally. Making bacon. That's great. You know, I think making whoopie's better, but that's really good.
The Making Whoopie was a great name.
It was.
But Making Bacon.
Savannah Bananas, Making Bacon. What's the better baseball team name? Could be our poll question today.
Making Bacon. But the Savannah Bananas do a really good job.
Oh, yeah. They've got their promotion down. They travel. They draw thousands. Yeah, they got it going on.
Absolutely.
Making Bacon, by the way, sounds like the title to one of those, Hallmark specials. Those 2-hour movies they put together around the holidays.
I'm a little worried about you when you say the Making Bacon is a Hallmark special. What is that for? For people who are meat lovers?
Hey, listen, I don't know. Apparently that channel's very well rated. This just in. They hook up at the end. I mean, it's kind of like, the Titanic. This just in. It sinks. I mean, I don't get it. But
next, you're going to tell me how The Last Temptation of Christ ends.
I can't believe you went there. Oh, man, now one of us is going to get hit by lightning. It better not be you. Your daughter's in the booth with you. It's got to be me this time. Oh, man.
I just love that the Making Bacon's mascot's name's Kevin. It's a slice of bacon named Kevin.
Golly, that is fantastic. Fantastic.
I wonder how good his dance moves are.
Doesn't he have to come for a promotion?
Well, he posted a picture with a Making Bacon hat on Instagram.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic.
Besides, yeah, he should show up, but he gets paid to make fun of himself. Have you not seen these commercials for the electric cars he's pumping?
Yeah, he got paid pretty well, too.
Damn right he did.
Those two lost everything with Madoff, That's why they both got a lot more commercial in the last 10 years. They turned around one day. They had $34 to their name. They just...
Well, make a bet with it. That's how we roll on this show. Miller and Moulton. Bet until we run out of money. And we're betting on the Making Bacon, that's for sure. Bacon wrapped bacon. It's our new favorite treat here on the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
While talking with my friends Jason and Todd with the Diamond District, the 4th of July came up, and Todd was like,
Jason, the Diamond District is celebrating 20 years in business. Let's give something away for free this 4th of July.
Then Jason, with that aha look on his face, said,
Todd, I had the perfect idea. I was wearing my Bose audio sunglasses at the pool the other day and loved the feel, the look, and the sound. Let's do this. With a purchase of $500 or more, we'll give a pair of these sweet sounding shades away.
It didn't take Todd long to agree.
Jason, you're brilliant. Who wouldn't want Bose audio sunglasses? And for a purchase of $500 or more, it's a no-brainer.
It is a no-brainer. Now through the 4th of July, free Bose audio sunglasses with your purchase of $500 or more from the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Can Anthony Davis still be a top 5 player in the NBA? Are you kidding me? I mean, the other side of this is it's 5:33 in Los Angeles right now. Who are you doing the show for? I've got Get Up on in the background. It started off with, will the Lakers be a threat this season?
Oh, my God.
Followed by, will Anthony Davis be a top 5 player in the NBA? Followed by, what moves should the Lakers make this offseason? Now, I know I don't know how ESPN, is there an ESPN West? Do they rerun this? They don't, do they?
Let's see. This is 5.
It's 5:30 in the morning out there.
This is Get Up, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do they? No, I would guess no, because they go straight into Stephen A. shows next into noon, right?
I just whatever.
Spitz. I think Spitz is right. They re-air it on ESPN2, but
right. No. But I mean, it's just holy cow. So my daughter has to read for 30 minutes a day. That's our deal this summer. So I made her read 3 chapters. She's into these chapter books. And she's like, Dad, I've only got 2 chapters left in this book. That's all I can read. I'm like, that's fine. Here, just read a little bit of the Phil Steele College Football Magazine book. She literally turned her head into the back of the chair and didn't look at me.
Wow.
Why don't you can read up on Florida football team? I'm amusing myself here. All right. I knew when I read that making bacon thing that would get us a segment today. Oh, Phil Steele just put out a tweet starting to book his
I called yesterday to get on the list.
Okay, because they got an email address on this tweet.
I'm trying to book him for late. I'm trying to get him like right before the season starts.
Fantastic.
I'm trying to get him the week of the 21st, on the 23rd or 24th, right before the week 0 games. Does that work for you?
Absolutely.
Okay. And once a game, same deal, half hour, like 8 to 8:30, something like that. I got 2 things here. You got anything?
One thing I got is a guy that carved his initials and his girlfriend's initials in the Rome Coliseum is still on the loose.
We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes till the top of the hour, our final segment along the network in Lake City, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. The bonus hour awaits. The Diamond District bonus hour awaits in the 239 at the top of the hour here on Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. I got two things for you off the beaten path. Unless you got something along the beaten path, which we've been, walking down most of the day. I got two things off the beaten path.
All right. Let's go off the beaten path. I enjoy that.
All right. One is actually kind of sort of on the path. All right.
Well, is it on the path or off the path?
I'm sorry. It's on the path, but I'm going off the path.
All right.
On the path.
Free relief from this path?
Well, it depends. If it was up to you and I, yes. If it was up to the USGA and RNA, probably not. They want us hitting out of divots in the middle of the damn fairway. So, here we are. We're basically at the midway point of the season. Like the Rays have played 81 games. A lot of people haven't. They've played, 77 or whatever. But, Mark, we got 6 first-place teams. How many of them have a payroll in the top half of the league? Of the 6
first-place teams,
Yep.
How many have a top half payroll?
Yeah.
I'm going to go with
He's going
2.
You went through all the first place teams.
I was trying to really quickly.
And you are correct.
I'll go both Centrals out, and I'll throw Arizona and the Rays out, so I'll go with 2.
Well, there you go. The Braves, all right, have the 8th highest payroll, and the Texas Rangers have the 9th highest payroll. Braves a little over 200 million, Texas just under 200 million. But the Twins, 17th highest payroll out of 30. The Diamondbacks, 21st highest. The Reds, 25th highest. But we went through who's actually on their payroll. 4 of their 6 highest paid players are no longer with the team. I mean, they've got...
The Brewers are leading the division technically right now.
Okay, well,
But I don't think they're in the top half either, are they?
What can I tell you? No. Might be. Yeah, this was actually released. My bad. This was put out last night before the games were played.
Okay. But they're a half game apart, so neither here nor there.
When the Reds had a half game lead in the Central. Rays, by the way, 3rd lowest payroll in baseball. Just under 77 million. 28th in payroll. Think about that. Best record in baseball, 3rd lowest payroll. 2nd worst stadium in baseball. Unbelievable. I'm telling you, they could run our damn country, honestly. What would the Rays do?
That should really be the next ticket for president.
I wrote a column.
Chick-fil-A and the Rays.
I wrote a column in 2010 for the Naples Daily News in Southwest Florida, in which I said, everybody's asking, what would Jesus do? We need to ask the question, what would the Rays do?
I'm telling you, we need the Rays and Chick-fil-A to run on a ticket. We'd be economically sound, and we'd run very efficiently, David.
Just what would the Rays do? Can you run for political office on that? Okay. You get in a debate with your opponent, and they go, well, this. And I go, well, I'm against it. You know why? Because let's just say, and then you keep drawing an analogy to, well, it's like being the Rays in the AL East. All right. Can't go about trying to problem solve the same way. Going up, most of the guys I'm going up against are spending 2-3 times what I'm spending. Can't try to solve this problem that way. You imagine that. You're yelling at your opponent. You just want to keep throwing money at the problem. Okay. You're the Yankees. How many World Series you won in the last 13 years? Hell, how many times you been to the World Series? You need to think like the Rays.
This debate would probably be on point more than most presidential debates. You'd probably stick to the topics, David. I think we're on to something here.
Tell you what.
We finally have a ticket to believe in. The Tampa Bay Rays and Chick-fil-A.
It would be something in which you've got Brett Baer and Ken Rosenthal that are hosting the debate, though. That would be unusual. All right. And a sign, this is off the beaten path because this sport, it doesn't matter anymore. But 35 years ago today, this was the biggest damn thing going on in the world. In the world. It was a boxing match. Now think about that. Think about that. All right. Tyson Spinks. 35 years ago, 1988. These are the people that attended Tyson Spinks, a sitting vice president running for president, soon to become president. George Herbert Walker Bush went to a boxing match. Of course, for those that don't know, Tyson Spinks was undefeated. He had taken the title away from Holmes. Okay. Tyson was undefeated. They were trying to unify the title. And the fight was at Trump's casino in Atlantic City. So we had two future presidents who were at this boxing match. Oh, yeah. Jack Nicholson, Warren Beatty. You know who sat next to Trump? Oprah. You know who came together because they were married? Madonna and Sean Penn. 30, probably.
How long did this one last? Like, did it last a minute?
90, I think it was like 91 seconds.
Right.
Right.
I know I've got it on the sheet here somewhere.
I paid for it. I watched it at the Armory in Scranton. And when Tyson knocked him down the first time, I got up and grabbed my light jacket and started to put it on. And the guy I came with said, what are you doing? I go, oh, no, this is over. no, this is over. This won't last much longer. He's like, no, Spinks is up. I said, no. I started backpedaling down the center alley. I'm like, might as well beat the traffic. This one's over. Next punch, boom. I yelled at him, it's over. I was backpedaling out of there like Dion covering a wide receiver. So can you imagine a boxing match in the future which attracts a star-studded crowd? Boxing.
No, and David, I can't really imagine a UFC match right now doing the same thing. And UFC is more popular than boxing. They get more stars at their events.
Totally.
But there have been different runs of stars, and they're maybe in UFC.
I mean, Trump's shown up at a couple of UFC events. He has.
And Brady was just at one. I mean, so they get star power at the UFC events. But not what you're talking about here.
I mean, this is Jack Nicholson. Oprah. I love the pictures, by the way, of her sitting next to Trump. And of course, it's 35 years ago. They both look great. Oprah was skinny. She looked amazing. So did Trump, by the way. The hair. Oh, my goodness. The hair was shorter than it is now. It was reined in. Oh, it just... Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty. Oh, my goodness.
To get Nicholson to come to the East Coast for anything is pretty remarkable.
I know. It wasn't a Lakers-Celtics game. Well, I mean, it was what? Lakers-Pistons that year in the 88? In the finals. So, he'd been traveling the month of June, going back and forth between those games.
He didn't do the road games.
He didn't go to Detroit?
I don't think so.
Because he would go to Boston. He wouldn't sit where Spike Lee sits for Knicks games, though. He wouldn't get the courtside seats. Jack would find a way to get himself up near a suite. Elevated. Jack was always on the road, was always elevated. So I was just can you imagine when we will ever have a boxing match? Because when we talk about when Ali and Frazier fought the first time at Madison Square Garden, and as one of your famous things that you talked about in that. He goes, you were always amazed that the official Life magazine photographer was Frank Sinatra.
That's a fact. He wanted ringside seats. You know, he got him. Took the photographs for Life magazine.
Right.
Sinatra with a camera at the Ali Frazier fight. It's one for the ages for me.
So, but 2 future presidents at this boxing match. One who was hosting the event. That's another thing. Biggest damn boxing match took place in Atlantic City, not Vegas.
Well, I mean, that Ali Frazier fight was at Madison Square Garden. I mean, there's a lot of famous fights that occurred outside of Las Vegas. Now it seems that's the only place that hosts a big fight, if there is such a thing anymore.
Right. Well, that's when Atlantic City was considered competition for Vegas. How laughable does that look now?
Could you imagine Atlantic City getting a pro sports franchise? I mean, think about how comparable those cities were in '88. Now Vegas is sitting there with the A's coming and the NBA on the horizon of being a 4-sport town.
When 10 years ago, if you wanted to hold a fantasy football convention there, they threatened to ban you from the league. Not that Florida is missing the boat on sports gambling or anything. I wouldn't want to intimate that at all. It's only billions a year. No big deal or anything. But I just wanted to, when you look back in time and you go, oh, wow. And also you try to think forward will this sport ever, because people get excited when a horse wins the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown. I mean, it's not like horse racing in the 70s and 80s, but people do go, hey, okay, the Belmont got a chance at a Triple Crown. Let's watch. The sport can have a moment when a horse wins the first 2 legs of the Triple Crown. And some of the horses that have won the first 2 legs in the last 20, 30 years have had great stories behind them, and we've gotten more involved than others. What in the world would it take for us to get behind a boxing match?
David, more likely a prize fight to get that type of an audience, or a prize fight and you and I being able to, or me particularly being able to stay up for the start of it.
That's true. They don't even start before midnight.
No. 11:30 midnight's when the big fight starts. I mean, I'd have to have 2 naps before that thing would even get going.
Well, let's see. You'd have your early bird dinner. All right.
Nap.
You nap. And then could you fit in? See, I don't know if you could eat before the fight, because then you might nap again.
No, it would be an early day nap. Early bird special, like you talked about. For those that just joined us, wife's birthday was last night. We had a reservation at 5:00 for dinner. I'm not making that up.
Didn't leave the house at 5. Had a reservation for 5. So yes, you figure out when they left the house. Apparently had to run an errand on the way to dinner.
Had to stop at the library. I'm not making any of this up. I'm 147 years old, David.
I was going to say, what was the post office and the bank? And you make fun of me. You may have to stop for a little bit after last night.
I may have to stop making fun of everybody for a little bit after last night, David.
So that was it. That's all I got. Rays, 3rd lowest payroll in baseball, best record in baseball. And only 2 of the first place teams in the top half of the sport in payroll. Thought people would find that interesting. Never mind the look back 35 years ago. Tyson Spinks.
All 91 seconds of it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But that was like most Tyson fights then. If it got out of the first round, it was considered worthwhile of your pay-per-view experience. And we couldn't watch enough of it.
Nope.
Couldn't pay for it enough. Couldn't get enough of it.
Nope.
Imagine a heavyweight coming on the scene to captivate this country the way that he did.
By the way, Michael Spinks got knocked out and was done. That's it. No need to fight again. He won gold in the Olympics as a light. He won the light heavyweight title Became the first light heavyweight to ever win the heavyweight title, or at least the first since like the before Marciano. And then got paid fighting Tyson. Got knocked out in 91 seconds. You know, got his millions, and that's it. Was done. I'm good. Would you get knocked out? Would you do that for
now
for millions?
Sign me up.
I'm just going to say pretty good. Now, at the time, you're thinking, wow, he's going to kill me. But no, actually, that very rarely happens. You just get knocked out for a while. We wake you up, smelling salts, the whole deal. You'll be okay. Check's waiting for you back in the locker room. Miller and Moulton. Bonus hours next.
Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
We declared our independence in 1776 and have been celebrating the 4th of July with concerts, parades, fireworks, and new sunglasses ever since.
Todd, I'm not sure they had sunglasses back then, but let's go with that since the Diamond District can't have a concert, parade, or fireworks in the store and want to celebrate. So this 4th of July, with a purchase of $500 or more, you'll receive free Bose audio sunglasses.
That's right. With any purchase of $500 or more, now through the 4th of July, the Diamond District will give you free Bose audio sunglasses. Listen to your favorite music by the pool, while running, or walking the beach.
Visit the Diamond District now through the 4th of July for your free Bose audio sunglasses with purchase of $500 or more. Only at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
over before it even starts. Look, Vegas is great, but they're not perfect. How do I know? I was out in Vegas last summer. Here's the lines for an entire season from the Superbook. I bet a lot of these. I'm going to cash many of these tickets in late July. Let's go and go down memory lane and remember some of these games that Vegas got wrong. Really. Oklahoma by 11 over Kansas State. Alabama by 14 at Tennessee. Clemson by 22 over South Carolina. And you knew we had to do it. Ohio State 16 and a half over Michigan. How'd that turn out? Look, Vegas is usually right. They're not perfect.
Do you see Bud's thing that he did about the lines?
Yeah.
And last year's lines? I paid for, actually, I didn't have to pay for Sugar Ray and Hagler because I was covering it for the local TV station. Did the live shot outside, went inside, watched it. Didn't pay for Foreman Holyfield. For some reason, paid for Foreman more when he knocked him out to win the title. Don't know how many heavyweight fights I've paid for since.
Ten seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour. Diamond District's got a July 4th promotion. Spend $500. You get the Bose glasses. You mentioned Miller and Moulton, you get an additional 10% off. Huh? Don't say we never did anything for you. Diamond District bonus hour here on Miller and Moulton.
I like how you threw that in.
Well,
don't say because we really didn't do anything for you here. They did something for you.
We're taking credit for it. Come on now. I mean, that's the way of the world these days.
No, you're right there. I'm not going to argue with that.
No, we're taking credit for something somebody else is doing. It's kind of like the PGA Tour with all the money they give to charity. Are they giving it to charity? No, not really. The local tournaments and the sponsors are actually doing it. They're taking credit for it. It's the same deal, Mark. We're just a PGA Tour. The difference is we're not tax exempt. We have to work on that.
We should be. We're not profitable.
Exactly.
We essentially run a not-for-profit.
By the way, in all seriousness, don't you think many businesses are going to be paying close attention to this whole PGA PIF arrangement that they're trying to make, where they're going to be in business and they're setting up a completely different company? No, that company, that's the for-profit company. See, that's where that company's going to have to pay taxes. By the way, we don't supply the money for that company. That's all coming from the Saudis. So now this company over here, this is the PGA Tour. Oh, no. We're tax exempt. No. That thing over there, which by the way, we're going to use almost all that money for our tour. That's the one you got to tax. And by the way, we don't make profit. They do. Right. They're making the money, not us. No, we're tax exempt. Hell, we're damn near a not-for-profit.
David, the thing that I do love about apparently the deal between the PGA Tour and the PIF fund was it got out. It's 6 pages.
Right. And
the entire agreement is, I mean,
and Mark, don't laugh. I think the first page is the cover page. I'm not kidding. Not kidding. I think the first page is the cover page. I'm not playing around. It's either the cover page or one of the pages is the signatures. I mean, honestly, it's apparently it's got 5 pages of content.
And that's the only thing that, we talked about this briefly before, but the way I read it was that Live Golf's future is uncertain because it now falls under control of the PGA Tour. How that comes to be is beyond me.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're all curious about, so let me get this straight. The Saudis are going to just give away hundreds of millions of dollars and they're not going to have any control over it? I mean, would you agree to that? Or do they just have so much damn money? It's like, yeah, honestly, we don't care. Just do what you got to do. Just make sure, you get our name out there. And whatever you do, stop mentioning all the 9/11 stuff, okay? Can that just go away? Can you lose that from your vocabulary, please?
Well, that's the part of this. If this was anybody else, there was any other business that went into partnership with the PGA Tour, DC wouldn't care.
No.
That's why I don't know how many other companies are watching this that closely, because I don't know if enough of them are partnered with the Saudis to be worried.
But you have to admit they did bring this onto themselves. I mean, you can't say what you've said about them for the last year plus and then go and literally climb into bed with them and not have a few people go, huh? I mean, remember, the Department of Justice was already investigating them for how it was they were treating the golfers that went to LIV. They were wondering if that was legal. It's something you and I want. The big reason why you and I were open-minded to Live is because in many of our broadcasting arrangements, now not yours with the Blades, you were an employee of that organization. But since then, in the last 17 years, 18 years now, all right?
Holy blank.
I know.
I'm old.
Well, you had a 5 o'clock dinner appointment last night, dude.
Wow.
I don't know what to tell you. So, I mean, your son was like 5, right? 6 tops. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
5, I think, right?
A little older than that, but yeah.
Okay. So, anyway, we are, we're freelancers. That's what golfers are. And so we related to them in this sense. Their paychecks, a lot bigger. Did you see, by the way, Scheffler so far this year? He's making $1 million an event.
And he can't putt. We said it yesterday. This would be a Tiger-esque season if he was rolling the putter the way he rolled it a year ago.
In fact, somebody did the analytics yesterday and said he's hitting the ball. His tee to green analytics are the second best in the sport in the last 25 years. Only peak Tiger has been better hitting the ball the way Scheffler is in the last 12 months. Anyway, so we were open-minded to it because we're freelancers and that's how we get paid. And, we can, in theory, we can get up and go and do other things. And as long as we come back at 6 a.m. and we do this thing, we can go do the other things. And we thought, well, isn't that kind of the same way with golf? Play this week on the PGA Tour. You go play that week on the Euro Tour. You go play that week on the Asian Tour. I mean, you can kind of do what you want, right? No. Can't go play over here. Well, why? Well, because we said so. Well, what the heck?
Where the irony to me will exist is with whatever penalties that they come up with for the Live golfers to come back on the PGA Tour. So wait a minute. Let me get this straight. You guys can take far more money than we took to form this tour, and yet we have to be suspended for you taking the same exact money from the same exact people that we took the money for. Oh, yeah, by the way, you're all getting paid far more now than you were before because, wait for it, we joined the Live Tour.
I'm not joking when I say this. The Senate subcommittee is 2 weeks from today. If you're a member of the PGA Tour, don't you have to watch this for hours? You don't have any answers. They didn't put anything on paper. You don't have any answers. Apparently this week, this is being discussed to some degree, but even the golfers have said, well, we don't expect to learn anything because they keep saying they don't have the specifics worked out yet. I mean, is the PGA Tour and the PIF guy going to be able to stand up there and say to Congress, well, I appreciate the question, but we don't have that worked out yet? No, we're working on that. No, that's a good question. I'd be more than happy to come back and answer that at a later date, but we don't have the answer to that.
How much can you get on 6 pages?
Well, but in theory, they're going to say, hey, no offense, we brought you here to kind of fill in some of the blanks here. And what are they going to do? They're going to say, is this going to be I don't know. I can't recall. I mean, are they going to do this for 3 hours? They're going to go, it's a good question, and we're working on that. That's one of the issues we have to resolve. I mean, are we going to get those answers for 3-4 hours?
That's what I expect. By the way, that's completely what I expect. I think that they are going to look right at the government and laugh at them and not give them anything.
Telling you, Norman's the only chance to get an answer. The PIFs guy is going to say to Greg, listen, you need to behave, keep your mouth shut. I'll make it worth your while. Listen, we know Greg. We like Greg. Greg's been very good to us. We've had conversations with Greg with a microphone on and with a microphone off. You talk to Greg long enough, okay? Greg will talk.
And I think he's a little honked off right now because he's not been a part of any of this, which would make him more eager to talk.
So I find two interesting things. One, the PGA Tour, if they want, and if the Saudis want to keep financing Live, there's no reason that league has to go away. None at all. It says so in the 5-page deal, by the way. That league could keep operating. Now, the PGA Tour then has to decide if you go play over there, are you still penalized and you can't play with us? But there is room. And Mark, I'm not kidding. I wonder if LIV has to survive for monopoly purposes. Is that league going to have to stay in business, or is the PGA Tour going to have to change their rules where you're banned if you go over there for monopoly reasons?
The DP World Tour could get him out of the monopoly side of things.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I don't know if it will. That would be my initial thought.
Well, then we have to see a thaw because right now Sergio and others are not eligible for the Ryder Cup. Rahm wants Sergio on the Ryder Cup team. And the DP World Tour they're not letting Lee Westwood play in the Senior Open because he hasn't paid his fines from joining the LIV. And they're all of a sudden going to let Sergio play in the Ryder Cup, which, by the way, how can the DP World Tour, and that's another thing Rahm's saying, let me get this straight. Koepka and DJ can play for the U.S. and we can't have Sergio play for us? What the heck? I mean, I don't know if that question will get answered before any of the questions we hope to get answered in 2 weeks before the Senate subcommittee, but it's just something to throw out there. One other thing, all right, about this. There is talk that maybe they keep LIV around for all of 2024. And then if it goes away, then all the golfers are allowed back and that's it. No penalty, no harm, no foul. But they keep them off the PGA Tour for all of 2024.
And that's what I would bet on, is one more year of Live Golf and then it quietly rides off into the sunset and the PGA Tour can claim some sort of victory even though the tour has been monumentally changed by what Piff and Liv have done. Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day when what's on tap. That's about 25 minutes away, right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
We declared our independence in 1776 and have been celebrating the 4th of July with concerts, parades, fireworks, and new sunglasses ever since.
Todd, I'm not sure they had sunglasses back then, but let's go with that since the Diamond District can't have a concert, parade, or fireworks in the store and want to celebrate. So this 4th of July, with a purchase of $500 or more, you'll receive free Bose audio sunglasses.
That's right. With any purchase of $500 or more, now through the 4th of July, the Diamond District will give you free Bose audio sunglasses. Listen to your favorite music by the pool, while running, or walking the beach.
Visit the Diamond District now through the 4th of July for your free Bose audio sunglasses with purchase of $500 or more. Only at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Logic Man, and they're probably solved by everybody having pizza too. I love this whole LIV thing. They're referred to as Newco in the whole agreement. All I can keep thinking is calling them New Coke.
Ha 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 ha.
I don't think so, Sonny. I don't. I don't.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$21 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Diamond District bonus hour edition here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. Final thoughts, all coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. So this is an unusual time in the NBA. Normally we've got, star-studded list of free agents and or players that are like, I want out. And I know they got two big names. They got Kyrie and James Harden, but let's face it, most people don't like those guys anymore. They think they're both dogs, to be honest with you, that they don't want to play and play hard, and that they're only in it for the money, and that they're not winners. I mean, am I wrong?
And one's getting older in Harden. I mean, I don't know if is Harden's past his prime.
Oh yeah, they're both past their prime.
Kyrie's closer to it.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie should still be in his prime.
Right.
And it's ironic because Kyrie did win a title. In fact, had a pretty damn big role in winning that title. Thank you very much. In fact, he hit the game-winning shot in Game 7 on the road to win that title for the Cavs in 2016. And yet he's seen as a loser. It's funny how you can hurt your reputation. Don't let the facts get in the way.
And if you want to look at the numbers, Kyrie is probably in his prime right now. I mean, he just had one of the most efficient shooting seasons of his career.
Yeah, and what did he play, though? Did he play 50 games?
He played 60 games. He averaged 27, 5, and 5.
I mean, people should be falling all over themselves for him. Nobody seemingly wants to pay him outside of Dallas. And then, we're left with what? Lillard? I mean, no one else has raised their hand, and Lillard hasn't fully raised his hand, by the way.
Well, there's a lot of different reports out there. I mean, people are saying that meeting yesterday was about Lillard wanting to stay and that he has no desire to leave. And I don't know if laugh's the right word. I do find it fascinating. Just hear me out here, David.
Okay.
If Lillard says, I want to stay, I want to be a Blazer for life, I want to play for one team, he is going to be put as a loser by the league because he wouldn't demand a trade and wouldn't go to a winner. It is amazing how we have changed in the NBA. We used to reward loyalty. We used to think highly of a player that would stay in one town. And now we don't think that he is enough of a dog because he won't demand a trade and go play for a winner. I find it fascinating.
It's all coming from the national media, though. I mean, you and I would both think they go, wow, he's an old school guy. No, he wants to be a one uniform guy. His number's going to go up in the rafters one day, wants to be remembered as the best player in franchise history, blah, blah, blah. Portland was enough for him. He loved it, didn't want to leave. Right. We used to just couldn't fall all over ourselves for guys like that enough.
Literally heard an interview, and I don't recall who said it, but damn near questioned his character for not wanting to leave. He can't handle the tough question. Well, yeah, he can. He answered it with, I'm staying in Portland. That's how he answered. I want to play for one team. But apparently in today's NBA, if you don't demand to get out, then you're not tough enough mentally as a player. It's a big turn from where we used to be. And I think it's because the media is bored and we don't have a monstrous free agent season with players moving all over the place. There's nothing exciting. So we're going to create as much excitement on a Lillard as we can.
Well, right. I mean, the baseball trade deadline's not for another 5 weeks, 5 weeks today. And guys aren't being traded now. So there's no baseball players to talk about. Okay. The mainstream media is never going to talk about NHL free agency, even though that's going to be wild beginning in about 48 to 72 hours when you got 3/4 of the league trying to dump players and a quarter of the league that actually could take on some really good players and get very good very quickly. But anyway, no, it's down to NFL or NBA, and then most of the NFL moves are done. So, okay, here we go. Listen, Mark, we've commented, from today through about July 7th or 8th to a lot of people, this is the best 10 to 12 days of the NBA season right here. Guys getting traded right before free agency or the moves that are going to take place between July 1st and July 8th?
It's NBA madness. I mean, I'm turning all my Twitter notifications on.
Yeah, but is it? That's the funny thing. This is the slowest, quietest madness this league has had
in a decade.
Even further, because LeBron made his decision in 2010. And, you had Garnett traded into the 2007 offseason. I mean, Mark, I think you got to go back to the mid-2000s. Shaq got traded to the Heat in what? In between 04 and 05? I mean, I think you got to go back 20 years right now to have an NBA offseason that appears on the surface. Maybe the duck underneath the water is pedaling like mad. But right now on the surface, this seems quiet.
Well, let's let things play out. Beal was a pretty shocking move. I mean,
yeah, it was, but here's the thing. These guys are choosing their teams. This wasn't a 3-day auction for Bradley Beal. Reportedly, Beal said, I'm not going to Milwaukee. It's between Phoenix and Miami. And upon further review, I want to go to Phoenix.
And Lillard, by all accounts, it's Miami.
Right. Not even Brooklyn.
No, it's Miami. If he's going to go, I'm going to Miami, and you're going to get whatever the best deal you can get for me. Don't really care what happens to you, but I want out. Get me out and send me to Miami.
I do agree that it will probably take a 3-team trade because I think Portland wants Bam, and that's a no-no.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Portland also is not going to have leverage here. I mean, the word is Lillard is giving Portland one more chance, a few more days. What can you put around me? I would prefer to stay. And if Portland strikes out in getting a really good player to go next to him with a couple of young guys, then it looks like Lillard's going to say, well, okay. And ship me to Miami. What's he, 32, but he's going to be 33 here very soon. He's going to play next year at 33.
That sounds about right.
Okay, he's got 4 years left on his contract. You ready? He's going to make 45.6 next year. He's going to make 48.8 the year after. He signed a year ago at this time a 2-year extension. You ready for the 2-year extension in 26 and 27? 58 and a half, 63 and a third.
What's the Rays payroll again?
Well, the next 2 years, he's going to make 93.4. Okay, that's about 15 million more than the entire Rays payroll for the next 2 years. Then he's going to make 121.8. So do some quick math there. What are we talking about? About 215 million over the next 4 years?
Well, that's the other side. I mean, I know the cap will increase, but down the road with Miami, the luxury tax that everybody's trying to avoid right now, between Butler, Bam, and if you get Lillard, that puts them in a whole new tax bracket.
I was going to say, you ain't going to be avoiding anything.
No.
Can't wait for the summer of 2026 when Lillard opts into a $63 million player option.
Exactly.
Oh, my goodness.
And by the way, Bam's getting a new contract. And Jimmy Butler at some point during this has got his hand up going, I'm pretty much the same age as Lillard. I kind of, where's my extension? Hello? You think Jimmy's going to be okay with Lillard making about 20 million a year more than him?
Not really. I wouldn't be, because he'll still think he's the best player. And you know what, David? He might be right.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hello, friends and family of Southwest Florida. Are you looking to tap into the electric vehicle market? Well, look no further, because we here at Southwest Florida Golf Carts have just what you need. E-bikes, golf carts, LSVs, scooters, and more. Come down and talk with one of our experienced sales reps, have a soda and a smile, and you could be cruising the streets in your new EV today. Stop by the store or visit our website at flgolfcarts.com and enter for a chance to win $100 off your next purchase by answering John's monthly sports question.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Whew.
Almost done, Maddie. Last segment.
See, Bohm, I don't think you're going to like me very much. I wouldn't trade Bam straight up for Lillard.
What?
You said would or would not?
Would not. Because
do that either.
Is Lillard a better player than Bam? Yes. But will Lillard help them win more than Bam? I don't think so. He's the only guy above 6'5" on the team who can play. He's arguably the best defensive player in the league.
Yeah,
and he's.
Is that just why you wouldn't trade Bam for Lillard?
Yeah, straight up, I wouldn't do the deal.
Untradeable.
Untradeable.
He's always available. He always plays.
I mean, listen, I know Orlando Oslagari is big on he's not a star, and that's fine. Maybe he's not a star. Like, he thinks he's a great role player. I think he's better than that. But all I know is that he's 20-9 with 2 blocks a game, and he plays 40 minutes, and he's the best defensive player in the league.
And I think he can improve offensively because I think he has. I think he'll continue to work on his game and get a little better at, and it doesn't get a lot better offensively.
And his contract compared to Lillard is.
Could he be the best player on a championship team? No, but he doesn't need to be.
No, Draymond Green's never been the best player on a championship team, but they need him.
Dwight Howard was never their best
I think
player.
he's.
Oh, well, Dwight Howard on the Magic was. But are you talking about the Lakers, Dwight Howard?
I'm just talking about. Well, they went
to Dwight Howard on Orlando was their best player.
But they got smoked in the finals.
No, actually, they lost in 5, and 2 of the games were really close.
Yeah. I'd say losing in 5, like the Heat lost in 5, kind of classifies as getting smoked.
Yeah, they were down 2-1, blew a fourth quarter lead, lost game 4 in overtime. That series was very close to being 2-2 with game 5 in Orlando.
Mm-hmm. That was also the year that we should have gotten a LeBron Kobe finals. Only took him averaging 38.5 points per game in 6 games in the conference finals.
Please, Cleveland was lucky. Remember, they won game 2 on a 3 at the buzzer by LeBron. They nearly lost the first 2 at home.
Yep. He averaged 38, 8, and 8. That's what he averaged in that series.
Yeah, and they got beat pretty solidly.
Yeah.
Well, this just in when Mo Williams is your best teammate.
Oh, so frustrating. Every time I look back.
Frustrating for you? Why? It's the best thing that happened to you. It's why you ended up in Miami.
You know what? It's so true. You're right. But it's like, damn.
He tried desperately to get those guys to come to Cleveland. They went, dude, we love you and all, but that ain't happening.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
The Diamond District bonus hour of Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for being with us. Spend $500 between now and July 4th at the Diamond District. You get the Bose glasses to go with it, and mention Miller and Moulton, get an additional 10% off. How about that? Save money and still the glasses. Come on. What more can you ask for these days? And free parking. I mean,
There you go. There it is. I hope you go to the bank today and they charge you to park.
Tell you what, that would get me to stop. That would get me to stop. If they just
What
want
do
to
you
lock
like better, the bank or the post office?
The bank. Because occasionally I can get money there. Most of the time I'm giving them my money, but occasionally I actually get some.
No, I know, but I'm just talking about the personal relationships you have with your banker versus your postman.
Oh my goodness, Mark, yesterday. So most people, when they're planning a poker game on a family vacation, they buy poker chips.
Right.
Right. Wife, for whatever reason, wanted us to play a cash game, which I don't understand. She doesn't gamble. She doesn't play cards. But she had it in her head. We have to play with money. So she got $100 in coins from the bank last week. 60 in quarters, 30 in dimes, 10 in nickels.
Okay.
Well, it turns out we ended up playing board games and we never played cards. Because Mark, it was just too rowdy, the board games. I mean, we're just so much fun that, we didn't need to break out the cards. So I went to the bank yesterday. The first thing I tried to do was I tried to stuff the $100 in coins in the chute and send it in. Yeah. And I stuffed $60 of it.
Break the bank?
And I will say, as I was hitting the button, I'm like, wow, this is pretty heavy. Is the air going to be able to get this sucker over the hump and get it into the bank? Or is my money going to get stuck? I kind of felt like the person who's like, man, can my car fit underneath this thing or am I going to get stuck? All right. And so I think, my car was just 4 inches small enough. I got the 60-something dollars, got it. And the lady immediately gets on the thing, goes, yeah, you can't put the coins in the chute. You got to come in the bank. So I ran in yesterday. So there I was with $100 in coins at the bank. Boy, was I a favorite.
You always are.
She's like, what do you want to do with this? And I go, well, I'd like to spend it, but I just deposit it.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Unless I really missed something, this may be the most boring day in the history of the world. 19, that is. 1924. Walter Hagen wins his second British Open. 1931. Walter Hagen captains his second victorious America's team in the Ryder Cup, which the U.S. would win 9-3. 1933. We lose the Ryder Cup. 6.5, 5.5.
What?
Great Britain's last cup victory until 1957. 1972, Atari is founded in Sunnyvale, California.
Beep.
Without that, I don't know what my childhood would have been, David.
Beep.
Adventure. I like that game.
Beep.
Atari basketball, the one-on-one. Some of the worst graphics in the history of the world, and we couldn't get enough of them as kids. Could not get enough of them.
Beep.
He's still playing Pong over there. 1987, The Living Daylights, the Bond film with Timothy Dalton premieres. 88, we went over this a little while ago. Tyson KO's Spinks in 91 seconds. 1990, Derek Coleman, first overall pick for the New Jersey Nets. 92, Dan O'Brien fails on the pole vault and is eliminated from the Olympics decathlon.
And ruined Reebok. Remember, they had the whole marketing campaign. Dan and Dave. Yep.
Dan never even made it to the Olympics.
And Dan doesn't even make it to the,
And today, the Tampa Bay Lightning drafted Vincent Lecavalier in 1998.
That worked out well.
Yes, it did. Helen Keller and Ross Perot both born today. Part-time Southwest Floridian Brad Childress is 67. Jeff Conine's 57. Jim Edmonds is 53. Tommy McGuire's 48. And Khloe Kardashian's 39.
Happy birthday, Mr. Marlin. And, of course, Toby. The OG Spider-Man.
And in our Twitch chat room, Paul says it's his dad's birthday today. He's 85.
Happy birthday, Paul's dad.
I got one thing and one thing only. I mean, Route 66 got decertified today. That's a sad day. It was kind of a historic road and what have you. And for whatever reason, we decided to no longer think of it as a thing. Don't know why we did that. Mark, one of the most famous scenes in movie history was filmed today in 1939. Gone with the Wind.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
And they filmed it twice. First, frankly, my dear, I just don't care. And then, because they didn't think censors would allow damn. But for the heck of it, they said, hey, okay, Rhett Butler, try it, with damn. They got fined $5,000 for damn, but censors let it stay in the movie.
Guess they didn't give a damn.
Aha!
Might watch Cars after that Route 66 tidbit.
So there you have it.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Ocala, where firefighters working the night shift hears the alarm go off, and it was the alarm in the safe haven baby box. Thought it might be a false alarm. He went outside to check. There, lying in a pink blanket, was a little baby girl. The firefighter and his wife had been trying to have a child for some time and were unsuccessful in doing so. They have since adopted the baby girl that was left in the safe haven baby box.
That's awesome.
For the bad, and this actually could have been a good because it turned out good, but a Florida deputy in Pensacola was swept underneath the highway with a motorist trying to get out of her car, swept through a storm drain, carried underneath the highway and out on the other side and walked away safely after both caught in high rainwaters.
Man, just imagine what those however many seconds were like. You're holding on for dear life. You're like, when does this amusement park ride end?
And the police officer had the body cam on. You can't hear anything other than some water. It goes completely black. But that is, I'm with you. That is completely freaky. We go to Atlanta for the ugly, where Miles Walker thought he was funny. Or he thought he was a really big jerk. Because he owed an employee $915. And he dumped that amount in oil-covered pennies in the former employee's driveway. The mountain of loose change came with a pay stub signed with an expletive. That person sued the boss and not only won, but got overtime wages in the amounts of $14,000, $14,640. And the jerk boss who dumped the oil was found guilty to have not paid a bunch of other employees overtime benefits as well. So his little stunt cost him over $25,000. And that's the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, June the 27th, 2023.
How do you get your hands on $900 of pennies? I mean, that's...
I don't know.
Wow.
You go to the bank and say you're playing a poker game?
And they look at you and go, dude, $900 worth? I mean, we'll give you $90 worth, but come on. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad it cost
I
him.
am too.
Yeah. Jerk.
Then he oiled the pennies up and dumped them in the guy's driveway.
How high do you think the pile is of $900 in pennies?
It's a big pile.
It is a big pile. Yeah. Anyway, everybody plays, tonight in Major League Baseball. We got 15 games. One of them is actually on national television. Pair of first place teams, Twins and Braves. Okay, so the Twins are 500. Hey, it counts. 7:20. That game is on TBS. Marlins are on the road. They're in Boston.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Jazz Chisholm, along with Gene Segura. They're both back off the injured list for the Marlins tonight. Alcantara pitching for the Marlins tonight. Last year at this time, the Marlins would be like minus 180. Instead, Boston's minus 130. That's what happens when your ace is 2-6 with an ERA a little over 5. Rays in Arizona, and they're an underdog. That's because the Diamondbacks are sending Zach Gallen to the hill. He with the 9 wins at 940 tonight. Taj Bradley and the Rays are plus 130.
Your Mets, David, are minus 148 tonight.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. They called the guy up from AAA to start the game tonight, and they suck.
Right, and they're playing the Brewers. That's the game I look at and go, how is that line? That line doesn't seem right to me, David.
And Julio Teheran's ERA is $1.50, and his WHIP is under 1. Exactly. You want to talk about New York teams who get overhyped because they're New York teams? Tonight's the reason. David Peterson's ERA is 8.
I don't get that one. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to make one baseball bet, I'd probably lose the $44 we've got in our account right now, but I'd bet the Brewers.
Reds have lost 3 in a row, by the way. They've fallen out of first, and they're in Baltimore. Obviously, so you got some people paying attention to that because the O's are only 4 behind the Rays and 2 in the loss column. So there. Yankees are in Oakland. Chance for the Yanks, who are scuffling without Aaron Judge. Fighting just to make the playoffs. They're only in the playoffs by a game.
Cannot score any runs at all. Not hitting the ball at all.
By the way, if the playoffs started today in the American League, 4 teams in the AL East would be in. Jays are a half a game ahead of both the Astros and Angels for the final wild card. Yankees only a half a game in front of the Jays. So there.
On that note, some pretty good baseball series are going on right now between, the Reds and the Orioles, the Giants and the Jays, Marlins and the Sox for that matter. You already mentioned the Twins and the Braves, and Arizona and Tampa.
Yeah. Also, you know what's an interesting series? 2 teams that are playing well, both out of the playoffs right now. Phillies and Cubs. Phillies are playing much better of late. They're back over 500. They're 4 behind the Marlins, and they're only 3 behind the Dodgers for the final playoff spot in the National League. But also the Cubs, Mark. I know they're below 500. We're not supposed to be able to talk about them.
Right, but they're the only team in their division with a positive run differential.
In fact, their run differential is the 5th best in the National League. They're only 3 behind the Brewers, 2 in the loss column. Could the Cubs be buyers instead of sellers? They have a big decision to make about Marcus Stroman. Trade deadline's 5 weeks today. If you're not going to extend him, you might as well trade him.
But if you're going to extend him, do you go out and get somebody else?
Right.
And add to this because the Central's there for the taking.
Yeah, somebody could win the sucker with like 85.
I don't know how you could be a seller if you're the Cubs right now. You're the only team, as I mentioned, with a positive run differential. The division's crumbling around you, and you're managing to hold on.
By the way,
that's what we'll find out in July, David, with the trade deadline at the end of the month. There's still 30-plus days for these teams to figure out if they're buyers or sellers.
So there you have it. As we're approaching the midway point of the season, Rays are already at it. Most teams are a couple of games away.
Miller and Moulton. If you missed any of the show, go to the usual places and download any part that you missed, or go to floridasportsnetwork.com. We'll do it all over again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Thanks for listening.
Visit Jason and Todd at the